How's everyone doing tonight? It is should be a fun one. Should be a good night. Hopefully my kids stay asleep because it was a snow day today. Wife is traveling out in California right now. So yeah, I do not have someone to tend to them if and when they wake up having to go potty, do whatever. I don't know why that light turns on and off, but might be a sign of things to come. How's everyone doing tonight? I do have a little bit of a pre-planned spiel that I'm going to go on. I will be answering questions later. I have a lot of notes in front of me. Normally I don't have this many notes for a live stream. Normally I don't have this many tabs open. Hopefully things don't crash. But yeah, welcome to everyone as they come in. I'm going to get started. It's probably going to be a long one. It is a late one, but it'll probably be a long one too. I have a lot of things to get off my chest. I have a lot of things to rant and rave about, go through when it comes to professional grading. What did I call this one? I called this one Dan Rants on all professional Pokemon graders. Live market Q&A. Preempting any, this guy's a CGC fanboy, this guy's a PSA fanboy, this guy's a BGS fanboy. I'm not, I promise you. I promise you, if you follow my content, 10 years ago, going all the way back to E4, you will know that me and professional grading card companies have been at odds to some extent. Love-hate relationship. I love the gains that they bring to my business. And yeah, with that, let's just dive in. The entire idea behind third-party grading, it is needed to transact the way that we do, to grow the hobby to the level that we are at today. Third-party grading was instrumental to that. I'm going to lay a foundation. I'm going to like talk about how good it is, all the pros, why we need it, how I value it as a business. And then I'm going to talk about like the dark side of it all. The lights might go down. The backlights might turn red. We'll see if the Pokemon cup full of 1% milk will keep me calm and cool enough. I don't think it'll overpower what's likely coming. There will be words used such as incompetence, negligence, maybe even fraudulent, maybe even talk about some tinfoil hat conspiracies, how that relates to everything. Talk about the tribalism, CGC, PSA, BGS, tag, all those things. That stuff's coming, but we've got to lay down the foundation. I'm very appreciative of the fact that third-party grading exists. The hobby would not be what it is today if third-party grading did not exist. Shout out to Gary, shout out to all the OGs who graded the first cards that Ken Golden was hucking on Home Shopping Network. The Neo Premium files, the CD promos. Shout out to Gary for grading all those PSA 10 first edition Charizards. The market would not be today if we didn't have this third party. So what third party graders do? Coins, video games, cards, all of it. And I see PK. Looks like PK sent his people over here. So appreciate you very much, PK. He had some good rants going earlier on. Very bullish about our future on Fanatics Live. I mean, I was anyways, but like after hearing his passion for all that, very excited. But yeah, I'm very appreciative. My business could not be what it is today. This hobby, this industry would not be what it is today if we did not have a third party, outside trusted third party, to say, hey, this card is not LP, NM, mint. This card is a 9, is a 10, is whatever the grade is. That whole thing is, hey, we put our money and we put our name, our brand behind this card being mint, this card being gem mint, this card being pristine. The idea behind third-party authenticating, third-party grading is that, hey, party A, the seller, has vested interests in the transaction. They might upsell what they have. Party B is the buyer. They have vested interest in the transaction. They might want to downplay. Oh, look at that white dot. Look at the centering. Look at this. Look at that. It's hard to try to close a deal between someone who wants it to be a big number and someone who wants it to be a small number. So then party C comes in, PSA, CGC, BGS, tag, all of them. They say, hey guys, quit arguing. The grown-ups are here. The professionals are here. That card is a 10. That card is a 9. That card is a 9.5. Some companies even go so far as that card is a 9.5. with 9.5, 9, 8.5, 10 subgrades, or I don't even know if that would be a 9.5. But some go so far as to provide 4 subgrades. That allows all the eBay transaction. That allows like all of us to transact 95 to 99+% of the time. Everything goes perfectly smoothly. I've graded, and I've sold tens of thousands of slabs. Tens of thousands each with PSA and CGC, thousands with BGS, and I'm going to continue grading more in the future. I'm not doing quite as much as I have in the past, just due to what my business is doing right now. But laying the foundation, talking about how instrumental, how important, I'm going to be ranting later in this video. The lights might turn red because I care. Like, I want third-party authenticators to hold a high standard. I want them to continue to enable further growth. I want them to be professional. I want them to be like, I want them to be better. So I'm not ranting to just try to just stir up drama. I genuinely care enough to talk about this stuff, and I want better for all of us. I think we all deserve better. I've made videos ranting about this in the past. I try not to make like too many inherently negative videos. They tend to do better when I make them, and some people get sucked into that cycle. But I try to just talk about the business, talk about what I'm doing. This all is relevant to the business. This all is relevant to what I'm doing as a business in the hobby right now. So me personally, I started back in 2014. Early on, first submission I ever sent. I could pull up my PSA page. I remember it though. I remember it fairly well. There was a base first edition Charizard. I bought a collection on eBay. I dove in head first. I dove in quickly. And yeah, they facilitated my growth to where I am. They took away so many headaches. Like, hey, this card has a bunch of creases. This card is damaged. This card was slid across concrete. It's a PSA 3, a PSA 4. The buyer has some expectation of what they're going to receive. It's not like taking a couple of pictures. Oh, hey, you hid that. You hid this. You hid that. 10 years ago, they didn't have the high-res scans they do on the website now. CGC kind of innovated in that space. They kind of forced PSA's hand to follow suit. And great things. So many great things to increase the liquidity, increase the value, increase the entire market cap of everything we touch, everything we know, everything we do. So yeah, love all that stuff. And back in the day, I used to be more collector Dan than business Dan. These days, I'm in more my capitalist season. I'm not collecting that much. And part of that is the crux of like everything I'm going to talk about tonight. Relative to what they claim they offer, a third-party independent opinion, sometimes financially backed by their guarantees. We'll get to that later. They deliver pretty decently on their promises. Most of my ranting later will come to my issue. And one thing I need to say, disclaimer Dan is going to come out here. I am not an expert. See the flashing line? I might flash this if I remember I have it throughout the night a couple times. I'm not the expert. They are. I feel like I'm pretty good at a lot of this stuff, but they're the ones putting money behind their word. They're the ones that are defined as the experts. They have the financial guarantees, all that stuff. But everyone should make their own independent valuations. It's like when you see a given card, if you value it less than the market, you should generally tend to sell. If you value it more than the market, you should generally tend to buy. 10 years ago, Collector Boy Dan, stars in his eyes, big goals set in the collecting space. I wanted to collect the PSA 9. I looked at the PSA 10s. I looked at the populations. I graded some cards myself. I looked at the PSA 9s. I looked at the PSA 8s. And it's like, I found most value in PSA 9s. I thought they were 99% of what a PSA 10 was. Sometimes more, sometimes less. White dot, little OC, whatever it may be. That was like my peak value that I looked at. Like, hey, the market attributes these values to these cards and in these grades. And that's what I went for. And I collected all the level X's, all the gold stars, like not just all the WotC PSA 9 first edition hollows, 370 of them, if my memory serves me. But I had the old school EXs, I had the gold stars, I had PSA 9 of the 1 through 4 World Championship trophy trainers. I had it all. The market went bonkers. And I had my issues. I had my concerns. Former engineer, former like scientist brain, all that stuff. I had my issues with the repeatability, with the with the consistency, with things like that, with grading. But I still like valued the encapsulation. I valued the liquidity increase. I valued a lot of the things. So I chose to interact with the market in the way where I was a net buyer of PSA 9 slabs. I would sell off my duplicates. I would sell off my PSA 10s. I would sell off the misses, PSA 8s, whatever. And I was a consumer of that. 2020, everything changed. 2021, even more things changed because I went full time and I sold a lot of stuff. The market prices outran what I value the slabs at. So the reasonable thing to do is, like, if something is more expensive than you want to pay and you have it, it's reasonable to sell it. If something is more expensive than you want to pay and you don't have it, and maybe we'll get into this rant very later on in the discussion tonight, but if something's worth more on the open market than it is to you, whether it's a pack of prismatic evolutions, whether it's a BGS 10 of one of the highest pop cards in Pokemon history, don't buy it. You have it, consider selling it. There's more considerations, tax implications, things like that. So not guaranteed that you have to sell it if you wouldn't buy it. Sometimes people say that, and I understand the logic behind it, but there is the added complexity of, like, tax implications, blah, blah, blah. So Collector Dan ceased to exist in a lot of ways in 2021. 2020, 2021, the market values outran. And what happened was 2014 to 2020, I had bones to pick with the grading card companies. Consistency, some issues here and there that weren't satisfactorily remedied, in my opinion. And I and Innovate TCG, I will try to keep an eye on live. This is not the go with tag stream. This is not like, I'm not a fanboy of any XYZ company. Again, what did I title this? Dan Rants on all tag. I have tabs open for tag. I have tabs open for all the grading card companies, and this is not, please, one of my worst pet peeves. It boils my engine oil when people in the comments of my videos, in the comments of my YouTube videos, Instagram reels, TikToks, whatever, I've been accused of being a PSA shill. I've been accused of being a CGC shill. Innovate TCG is, like, theorizing that I might be pumping tag in this stream. There will be no pumping, glazing, any kind of stuff towards grading card companies, aside from the overall, what I just did in the past 13 minutes. That was, like, all the rainbow and unicorns, and, like, I love you guys. I genuinely love ABC, XYZ. I love all these acronyms because they allow me, and this is the way I engage with them today. 10 years ago, I engaged with them as a collector boy, net buyer, selling off the excess, but buying more than I was selling, building a collection. And these days, the seasons have changed. The numbers have gone up. So any prior issues were amplified. And I'm a net seller. So why did I love them then? Because they provided a way. They provided a way for me to more, like, cleanly go for my goal. I defined my goal as PSA 9 of every chase card, and I went for it. It made it easier. These days, I love them because the premiums, when you put their plastic with their label around a card, is obscene to me. I have a PSA in front of me, just a random card. I have a CGC in front of me, and I have a BGS in front of me. So those are the big three. I've never even graded with tag, and at some point in the future I might. Why do I love these companies today? Again, all the things I said in the past 13 minutes, but also I make a ton of money off them. Later we're gonna talk about morality issues. We're gonna talk about all kinds of stuff later if we get there, depending on how things go. But they make me tons of money. They make me what in my mind is an insane, unsustainable, unreasonable amount of money. The second you take this and you put plastic and a label around it, the premiums just don't make sense to me. Old man yelling at the clouds, get off my lawn. It doesn't make sense to just cry to cry. It's like, again, sell if you value it less, buy if you value it more. I value it less. I don't hold any slabs. I hold some slabs that were gifts, but I don't buy any slabs to hold. I buy slabs to resell, buy at a low percent, sell at a high percent, and I buy raw, grade, sell. I have no slabs. I'm at a point in my journey, in my business, I think the hobby has, like, lost the plot on what professional grading is. Genuinely. I think there's better value than others in certain areas, but there is not one single card that I would say I feel like that's undervalued in its slab. I'm not talking like PSA 10 gold stars. I think they're crazy. PSA 10 base set first edition. I think they're crazy. PSA 10 ultra modern. Insane to me. All of it across the board. Some less crazy than others, but everything is on the spectrum of like, this is sane, logical, rational, reasonable. They're all way over here towards the insane, frothy, bubbly, whatever you want to call it. I fundamentally don't believe in it. But one important thing I want to say, this is one guy who is not a professional. This is one guy who is not an expert. Ranting, raving, giving his opinions, giving his thoughts on the way that he sees the market and the way that he interacts with the market. By no means, like, do not take this as gospel. I am not Arceus himself. I'm not the judge, jury, and executioner on what is right and what is wrong and what should be in the Pokemon market. Never do I tell people to buy X, sell Y. Hey, I'm a dude who runs a Pokemon business selling a fair amount of cards. Here's what I'm doing and why. So 10 years ago, I was collecting. I was net buyer of slabs, consumer of that business. I'm solely a consumer of that business because I think the market so drastically overvalues all of it. And I would have said that a year ago. So keep in mind, keep context. I would have said that a year ago. I would have said that 3 months ago. I don't have a PSA 10 in front of me because I'm selling. Oh, no, wait. I have one right there. I have a PSA 10 right there. I would have told you 3 months ago. When that was $300 and it was $100 raw, I would have said that premium's insane. That premium even is nuts to me. Now that card's like $250 raw and $700 in PSA 10. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. But I don't like, I'm yelling at the clouds about it now. Yes, fair. But I don't like, I just use that to my advantage. I leverage that, I transact in that, and that's all you can and should do. But what I'm going to get into in the coming minutes, hours maybe, is the talks of incompetence, the talks of negligence, fraudulence. If we went back 10 years ago, all the same things were there. All the same incompetence, all the same negligence, all the same inconsistency was there. And I got frustrated about it, and I made E4 threads about it. If I had a YouTube, I would have talked about it then, but I didn't. If I had an Instagram, I would have talked about it then. But I just think it's even crazier what's going on now. To be fair to the third-party graders, they don't determine that we pay $700 for that slab. They do marketing. They try to say, like, our label means authentic. We're the best. Look at our black label. Look at our red label. Look at our gold label. They do marketing. They try to pump up the brand. They try to, like, pump up all of it for sure. So to an extent, it is a little bit them, but it's mostly on us. It is on us. Like, when people cry about $12 prismatic packs, that's us. That's, you could say it's Pokemon to some extent because they could make more of it. But, like, the price wouldn't get to $12 a pack if people weren't paying it. The prices wouldn't get to $700 a slab if people weren't paying it. So it's mostly us. To be fair to the third-party grading companies, everything I rant about in the coming moments is our fault. Like we make it crazier than it has to be because we, as a collective, put these obscene valuations on what is fundamentally a flawed system, in my opinion. The amount, like, I've classified it this way before. The way people see it, they see a, let me see if I have a PSA 9 and a PSA 10. I do. So they see a PSA 9, and this is one company. It could be XYZ. It could just as easily be a Beckett 10 to a Beckett 9.5. So I'm saying PSA here, but use XYZ, use ABC. People see 9 and 10 as two distinct things, which, by the label, Mint 9, Gem Mint 10, they are two distinct things in that way. But if you were to crack both these out, again, CGC, BGS, tag, any of them, you crack them out 100 times each and grade them all. The replicability, the consistency, lack thereof, the wide variance in the returns that you'd see, to me, make no sense how we attribute such a high differential. Like, I understand people wanting the best of the best. I understand all that stuff. But, like, if you grab 10 9s at random, 10 BGS 9.5s at random, and compare it to the like a black label or a gold label 10, whatever it may be, if you grab 10 of the grade below versus one of the grade above. Almost always, I would say, the best card out of the 11, all at random, is in the 10 pile of the lower grade. Like that is how much overlap. So it's not 9 and 10. It's like a Venn diagram. And it's not like a tiny bit of overlap in the center. Like 9 here, 10 here, and the chasm wherein the 9-10 overlap exists is just massive. It is so massive. I don't attribute much additional value over the raw price, over the 9 price on a PSA 10, because, and then when you look at the gem rate data, and again, PSA 10, I'm saying PSA, but many times I'm just as easily meaning CGC Beckett. Look at the 10 rates on a lot of these things. It's like the valuations we give these. It is so profitable to just buy raw, grade, sell, buy raw, grade, sell. It's stupid to me. I make tons of money from it, and it's just fundamentally stupid to me. But I don't just cry about it every day. I'm crying about it tonight. Let me have my one night to cry about it, and I'll be back to business as usual on Monday next week, talking about taxes, talking about what my business does, talking about where I'm selling and why. But tonight I'm going to, we're gonna get into all the latest drama, what's going on, and we'll go there. But let's see, where are we at now? So yeah, as I said, I'm not an expert. One thing that drives me nuts when these things go on, I'm gonna show you all my tabs. We're gonna talk about the CGC thing. We're gonna talk about the prototypes. Everyone becomes experts at everything, and it just grinds my gears. It boils my engine oil, all that stuff. I am not an expert. I am a dude giving you my opinions on some topics. I'm fairly experienced. I've been around a while. I've done my fair share of grading. I've done all this and that. And part of that too, let me cover this now. I trust my opinion more. So much of our society revolves around caring about what other people think. And 10 years ago, I think as a 24-year-old versus a 34-year-old, as a 24-year-old, I cared more what other people think. I've never been one to, like, I'm wearing a Pokemon shirt right now. I've never been one to care that much about what other people think. But when I was 14, I cared more about what people thought than when I was 24. And when I was 24, I cared more about what people thought than now being 34. I think I'm getting better with age. I think most people generally tend to. But this whole perceived irrationality, I'm calling it perceived because that's a subjective opinion. This whole perceived irrationality about overvaluing plastic so obscenely, to me, I think it might last forever. The market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. If I could short PSA 10, CGC 10, black label grades, I would not. I'm doing as close as I can do to shorting it by just insta-selling everything I have. I'm not speculating on any slabs long term. So I'm getting as close as I could to shorting it by just holding none of it. But if they made an instrument where you could short it, if you could make an instrument to, like, more, Dan, in 10 years, here's an instrument that if you put money into it and more people come around to your line of thinking in 10 years, I probably wouldn't put money into that, because I know I'm kind of a strange person. I know it's very common. It's very common to, like, and yeah, I don't know. Let me just continue on. I don't get it. I sell, and yeah, let me make sure I'm hitting all my notes points here before we dive into the CGC stuff. But yeah, a lot of people will never get over that, needing the outside validation that third-party grading gives. Like, people can't just collect a binder. It's not as flashy. It doesn't have the appeal. Posting on Instagram a binder page like, hey, these are all beautiful to me, these are all great. There's something to be said about, like, having that pristine label, I don't have a black label in front of me, but having that tan, having that black, having that gold, having that, you get so much more, like, credit. You get so much more credit when you post it on Instagram. Like, I don't think any of that's going away. I just am not into that. I don't play that game. That's why I'm selling. And the inconsistencies that I've seen and the things that we're going to show are feeding into a lot of the reasons why that is. No, Brad, that's what I'm ranting about right now. Brad says you should change the text from not an expert to I'm a wannabe expert. I don't want to be an expert on this stuff. Like I am not an expert. I will tell you. You go into these E4 threads, and some people, like, shout out to PFM, Pokemon Flying Master. He is more of an expert. He is more of a professional. He is more of an authenticator in some respects than CGC themselves were, right? Like, there are experts on E4. There are experts on YouTube. There are experts at CGC, PSA, BGS. There are experts on TikTok, on Instagram, maybe less so than the other ones. But a lot of people claim to be. A lot of people talk like they are when they're talking out of their backsides. The lights aren't red yet, so I can't cuss. But when the lights go red, I need to have like a parental advisory. Maybe I will start slipping up and cussing more. But I'm not an expert. I'm just some guy. I'm just some guy with some opinions talking about them into the ethos, into the ether. But yeah, let me dive into it now. So I did all the props to the third-party graders. I talked a little bit about my journey. 10 years ago, I was a buyer. I was a consumer. I was kind of vibing with the whole grading thing. I didn't see the value in the 10s, but now I'm like, this, everyone has lost their minds. I'm selling all of it immediately. And a lot of my business is actually pivoted out of grading card. I haven't sent a single grading card submission in 2025. Not that I'm done forever. I will send more in the future. I'm just pivoting heavily towards the pack rips for the Fanatics Live, all that stuff. But grading is and will continue to be part of my business because there's obscene money. But yeah, let me dive in to, like, Dan, why are you making this video tonight? Where's this all coming from? Shout out to E4. Shout out to Pokemon Flying Master. CGC dropped the ball. One of the big words that I used, I used ignorance, I think, and I also used incompetence, and I also used negligence. Those words have like similarities. I wouldn't call them synonyms, but they have some overlap. Ignorance, incompetence, and negligence. Negligence is like the strongest one. That's like our word of the day today. 2 words of the day: negligence and fraudulence. We're going to be using those a lot today. We don't know. Someone was fraudulent. Someone, presuming all this is true, presuming they were found to be printed in 2024, someone was fraudulent. Someone, we don't know if there were any insiders at CGC involved. We don't know if it was Akabane himself. We don't know if it was his middleman. We don't know where. Hopefully the FBI will get involved. The FBI has been involved with PSA and BGS before. Welcome to the club, CGC. And now you're getting your own personal FBI investigation, likely. But I hope it's just ignorance. I hope it's just incompetence. If Hanlon's razor holds true, hopefully it is just, well, Hanlon's and Occam's razor. The simplest explanation to me is that there's a bad actor between Akabane and wherever, outside of CGC, outside of a lot of the people that were selling these, outside of the selling platforms. I could be wrong, but like, I don't think any of them were fraudulent in their actions. Whoever printed these, if they were printed in 2024, there are people out there that were fraudulent. I think CGC was incompetent. I think CGC was ignorant. Were they negligent? Negligent is more where, like, that's a legal term, and I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an expert. I'm not a lawyer. That'll be for the courts to decide, potentially. That'll be for potentially the courts to decide if and when it gets there. I hope. I am rooting for the hobby. I am praying to Arceus every night. Arceus. I don't know which one's right, but I am praying to Arceus that CGC makes this right. I have friends involved. I have friends affected. I know a lot of people, and even if they weren't personal friends of mine, I just don't want other people to suffer financially due to the potential negligence, incompetence, ignorance of a third-party grading company, and due to the fraudulence. And one thing that's like really weird to me is a lot of the grave dancing, a lot of the like I told you soing, a lot of the I knew these things. You didn't know. You're not an expert. I'm not an expert. It's so easy. It's so easy on Monday morning to say that they should have ran that ball instead of thrown it. Rest in peace to that Super Bowl. Tom Brady shouldn't have won that ring. But it's so easy to say that. It's so easy to say on Monday morning that the Seahawks should have ran that football instead of throwing that interception at the 1-yard line. And it's so easy to say. It's so easy to say in hindsight. I told you so. I knew it. It was obvious all along. Yes, once something's happened, it becomes obvious. It becomes obvious. But I'm wishing the best for everybody. I hope CGC does right by everyone. Tonight, we're going to talk about the authenticity guarantee, both that PSA hold and that CGC hold. And I wanted to start, like, this is the biggest thing going on right now in authentication. But, like, this is where I'm going to start to talk more about why I don't believe in any of this. And some people are going to say, nope, this guy, CGC is the good one, PSA is the good one, BGS is the good one, Tag is the good one, Tag is the future. None of them are your friend. None of them are for the collector, I wouldn't say. All opinion, all subjective, all my thoughts, feelings, all that stuff. Right now, one down. One down. We're gonna knock them all down eventually tonight. One down. CGC, the level of incompetence. One thing I did say on Monday, one thing I will say is mistakes will happen. Mistakes are inevitable. As a human being, as a person in my life, I've done dumb things. I've made mistakes. I've done poor choices, all that stuff. The best thing you can do, and the only thing you can do, like, all this stuff has happened. We are living in this timeline. There's no going back. People will say CGC should not have graded those. Yes, thank you. You're right. Thank you, Captain Obvious, Captain Hindsight, whatever I'm reaching for there. Yes, if and when these come out to be printed in 2024, fake, confirmed, obviously we can't go back though. We can't undo that. We're already this far down this timeline. So some people will say too, like, that's too much. That's too much incompetence. That's too much negligence. That's too much ignorance. I'm done with CGC forever. That is fine. That is fair. Me, as a businessman, I said earlier in the presentation, in the discussion, I use these companies because they make me money. As bad as it sounds in a way, and we're going to get to it further, PSA, you're not safe. BGS, you're not safe. Tag, you're not safe. If they make me money to some extent, everyone has to have their line in the sand. Like, that's too much for me. And then you tap out and then you're done with the company forever. If they make everyone whole, I'm not tapping out. If they refund 10 million, 20 million, 30 million in the coming weeks and months and year, maybe. It might be a long process. If they refund $30 million, that's all you can ask. They made a big boo-boo and they fixed it in that scenario. If they don't, I might be done with them forever. If they don't, they might be done. The market might be done with them forever. We might all agree together that, like, this has got to go. We're going to crack out all our CGC slabs. We're going to go to BGS. We're going to go to PSA. And we don't know yet. A lot of people are talking as if they know what's going to happen, talking as if the outcome is inevitable. I've heard so many people say, CGC is done. Guaranteed they're bankrupt within the year. Maybe. I don't know. If in 6 months CGC is bankrupt, it will have been obvious. Yes, people will victory lap. People will dance on the grave. It was obvious all along. I lean towards that not being the outcome. I lean towards them doing some level of making this right financially, whether it's satisfactory to everyone affected. Maybe not. Will they lose a lot of customers? Will they lose a lot of reputation? Absolutely. But I will talk about and I will show you issues with the other grading card companies that, like, I think as bad of storms, if not worse storms, have already been weathered. Active things are going on with other grading card companies too. And they've been, because they make us enough money, we forgive them. We forgive them. We let them off the hook with our wallets financially. We forgive them. It is, so all that said, as a business, CGC has made me money in the past few years. I think they'll make me money in the future. So I will continue to do business with them. Some people will choose not to. Perfectly fine, perfectly fair, perfectly reasonable. But the tribalism that I see, like, absolutely this Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, I'm rooting for the Chiefs. I'm a Jets fan. I do not like Tom Brady. I think the Super Bowl is on Fox and Tom Brady's going to be announcing. Worst announcer ever. I don't like the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't like Tony Romo when he was a Dallas Cowboy. Tony Romo is a good announcer. I can give him that. I like listening to Tony Romo commentated games. Tom Brady sucks. He's a terrible announcer. Let's get off the football rants. Let's keep the rants on topic with the grading card company. But tribalism in sports, it's all in good fun. If you are one of those clowns who goes to a football game and gets in physical fights over what happens, what people do playing a game on a field, that's too far. Like, the tribalism that comes in politics, in sports, and in sports, it's like it's fun. It's part of the entertainment. I know a bunch of Eagle fans. I know some Chiefs fans. I'm going to be busting people's chops. Whoever wins, whoever loses, I'm going to be busting people's chops. That's all in good fun, all good fairness. And I think some of that exists in the grading card companies. I think some of that exists. I joke on PSA. I joke on them being the participation trophy. That's in good fun. They are an easier 10 than the other two companies. They don't have that 11. They don't have that higher tier 10, right? But that's all in good fun. But what some of the hate, the vitriol, some of I mean, shout out like Jesse Peng. He shares some reels of him on Instagram cracking out a PSA 10 to grade with tag because it's a card he never plans to sell. And he posts screenshots on Instagram sometimes. He gets like death threats. He gets like, you tag fanboy, go jump into traffic, like all these crazy things, like quit pumping tag. The dude is just like existing in the space, collecting, enjoying the hobby the way that he wants to. And people get so like barbaric, so tribalist, so it's obscene. It's insane. They're Pokemon cards. It's plastic. It's 2 cents worth of plastic with a ½ cent label wrapped around your intrinsic value of 0 shiny Pokemon card. Like, it's not that deep. Some people get way too deep with this stuff. And a fair retort might be, hey, Dan, you're the one in your Pokemon shirt with your Pokemon cup drinking your 1% milk yelling into the ethos about all this one. You're the one taking it so seriously. I mean, it is my job. This all is my job, so I have to take it to some level of seriousness. But please, never, even though CGC, even if and when we find out who was the fraudulent person, who were the fraudulent individuals involved with creating these cards in 2024, death threats are never. Like, hopefully justice will come. Hopefully the wheels of justice will do the things they're supposed to do. Hopefully people go to jail. Sadly, historically, in other aspects of this, like in our space, they probably won't. I would lean towards that. But like, there's never room for any of that stuff. Even with the criminals, there's not room for that. And people are doing that to each other over like other collectors, other businesses, other like we're all on the same team. We're all in the arena of Pokemon. We're all here because we enjoy it to some extent. And some will say, oh, well, the scalpers aren't here. They're just here for the money. Whatever. Like, maybe there's some amount of people who don't love it as much. They're not as true. This and that. They care too much about money. But like, it's just unreasonable. It's unreasonable. So CGC, we already bashed them. We started with them. They're incompetent. They are ignorant. Maybe they're even negligent. They might be criminally negligent on this. Shout out to PFM. Shout out to E4. I filtered his thread. There's 91 posts by PFM himself. There are over 1,000 posts by the community at large on E4. It is a developing story. Give people time. Another thing, patience. It's been a week. It has been a little bit over a week since this news dropped, since this thread was started. Give people time. These companies need to consult with their insurers, consult with their attorneys. They need to like do things to make all this stuff happen. But let me continue on. So CGC, before anyone, if people come in the next 20 minutes and say, this guy's just a CGC fanboy, chat, please, I'm begging you, chat, tell everyone in this next 20-minute PSA segment that I already crapped on CGC. I've already crapped on CGC. So like, please tell people I'm not just a CGC fanboy. I use all 3 companies. I will continue to use all 3 companies as long as they exist, but none of them are your friend. None of them are purely for the collector. In my opinion, my thoughts, my feelings, all that stuff. CGC, fraudulence, negligence, ignorance, incompetence, all those things. PSA 2, we're coming for you now, PSA. I've got things dialed up. I showed it in my video on Monday. I showed it by stills. I'm like, Dan, why did you just show stills? Show the video. This is a Gem Mint 10. This is a Gem Mint 10. And to be fair, let me close out the CGC thing. CGC has an authenticity guarantee. CGC, theoretically, for the letter of the law, I know you can't read it, I know it's tiny, but CGC has a guarantee. CGC has not yet said whether or not, what remedy they will be providing, but we'll talk more on this later probably. But PSA has one too. PSA has one too, and we have history. So I agree with anyone who says if CGC completely bypasses their guarantee, CGC, we should rabble. We should peacefully protest. We should pitchfork. Not into anybody. Just raise them in the air safely. Put on safety glasses. Have arm's length space between you and the next rabbler. But We should voice our discontent with all of these companies, but keep it civil. Keep it civil, keep it reasonable. But PSA, this was, some people will say, Dan, that was 4 years ago. It was. Factually, not quite 4 years ago. November 20th, 2021. This is a friend of mine, Mike, Professor Oak Cali. He bought on Heritage, a Nidoking, PSA 10. One thing I talked about earlier, the great thing about these companies is that they have a financial guarantee of grade and authenticity. One of the things they do for my business, both CGC and PSA, Beckett actually doesn't have a guarantee of authenticity and grade. They don't have a financial guarantee as far as I understand. So this applies to PSA and CGC. But they make it easier for me to sell on Fanatics Collect. They make it easier for my consigners to sell on Fanatics Collect. They make it easier for me to sell these things on eBay, sell these things at shows. Because people know, like, hey, they have a financial guarantee. They're going to stand by it, right? If and when I buy a PSA 10 that is a lemon, as Mike classified it, they will stand by it. They will make me whole financially. Will they? Will they? Have they historically? To be fair to PSA, I have had successful claims under the authenticity guarantee. But if it doesn't work always, that's an issue. So I had a PSA 9 Gold Star Charizard back when it was $1,000. Now it's several $1,000s. You're welcome, PSA, for returning that PSA 9 Charizard Gold Star when it was worth $1,000 and not today when it's worth like $7,000 or $8,000. Because that's one crazy thing about the financial guarantee is that it grows over time if and when these prices grow. So that Charizard Gold Star was probably a 2-cert one. It was probably graded for $8. They paid me out several $100s because it went from a PSA 9 to a PSA 4 to 6 somewhere. It had a crease in the hollow. So shout out to PSA. Years ago, they, authenticity guarantee, financial guarantee, they paid me out hundreds of dollars on a creased Gold Star PSA 9 Charizard. It had a crease in the hollow. They paid me out. So sometimes it works, but here it didn't. I've made this rant before. Tons of people I know out there, they send black label quality cards to PSA. PSA, out of the three, not always, but mostly across the board, PSA is an easier grader. CGC, Beckett, they have black label, they have pristine, and then they have gem mint. Beckett actually has, so at PSA, gem mint 10 is the highest grade, is the perfect grade, the best you can get. At CGC, it's a gem mint 10, and then a pristine 10. And at Beckett, it's actually a gem mint 9.5, which is here. And then it's a pristine 10, and then it's a black label pristine 10. So Beckett gem mint is actually the third grade. But at PSA, it's the first grade. It's the cream of the crop. And all you people out there that don't send cards to PSA, ultra modern cards, you don't send your gray felt hats, you don't send your Chinese promos, you don't send your alt arts, you don't send your full arts, you don't send them if you see one white dot. I think you're crazy because, like, they tend those all the time. One minor print line, you don't send them. One tiny little off center white speck, whatever, 60 40 55 45, we'll talk about that in a minute. You don't send them because you're worried you'll get a 9. Tell me, anyone out there, please, the biggest PSA fanboy alive, is this a PSA 10 to you? We're gonna look at it. Shout out to Professor Oak Cali on Instagram. Look at this. Look at these print lines. Look at these print lines. I think it was a little thick on one side too. Look at the print lines, and then on top of the print lines, there's scratches. There's print lines and scratches, and we're gonna get there. Well, Dan, it's a 10. It's misgraded. They have a financial guarantee. I'm sure Mike put it in the mail, and PSA sent him a check. I'm sure that's what happened, right? Let's see if it's off center. It looks pretty centered. It looks pretty centered, to be fair. I would call that within 55 45 just by eyeballing. Maybe it's a little. I can't even say definitively. Is it a little thick on the right, little thin on the left? It's probably like 54, 46 or something. It's quite centered. But those print lines, those hollow scratches, and then let's look at the back too. I think he shows the back in a second. Let's look at the back. Yes. People don't send alt arts. When alt arts are perfectly centered, no issues on the front, people don't send over that white dot right there. I've seen people not send because of that white dot. I've seen people not send because of that white dot. And then look at this one. Look at this big white dot right here. Did that get caught on the bevel when they were encapsulating it? I don't know. But this card is not a 10. This card is objectively. There is subjectivity in grading, to be fair. There is subjectivity between a 10 and a black label 10 and a gem at 9.5. There is subjectivity in grading. But this, when you are talking not a 9 to a 10, not a 9 to an 8, there's subjectivity, there's overlap, there's imprecision, there's inconsistency between some grades. but no one can tell me that subjectively they think this is a 10. This card is objectively an 8 at best, if not a 7. So, and I see Super Deluxe saying 7. I see other people talking about, I think Mike mentioned it was probably like a 6 or a 7. Give them the benefit of the doubt. If this was an 8 and someone were trying to claim a financial guarantee calling it a 7, I would say no. But like, this is subjectively 8-ish, 7-ish, fair. If it's a 9 on the slab, no. If it's a 10 on the slab, definitely. 2 grades apart, no way. So what happened? Mike was like, this is not a 10. I collect shadowless 10s. This is not a 10. Hey, financial guarantee. The vice president of PSA said that I am the vice president of operations here at Collectors Universe Incorporated. Your order issue has been escalated to my attention. I can assure you that your cards have been reviewed by multiple senior graders and that the grades given on the cards are accurate. PSA has a financial guarantee of grade and authenticity, and they had the audacity to tell someone, this goes beyond incompetence. This goes beyond ignorance. This goes beyond negligence. Negligence might put that card in that slab. On my thumbnail, I put big words in red. I put big words in red. Negligence and fraud. I'm not saying it. This is one guy's opinion, one guy asking a question. If someone claims to have a financial guarantee of grade and authenticity, and then they tell you, they're gaslighting Mike. They're gaslighting Mike into saying that this is a 10. I'm asking a question. I'm not making a statement. Is that not fraud? Hold on. I am not a lawyer. I am not a legal expert. I am not a card grading expert. But is that not, posing a question, is that not fraud? Fraud is a big word. Cashmere Fire says it's an edge case. It's a fringe case. Retro would go further. Retro would say, not only is it fraudulent, he would say, that's cap. That's cap. Sorry, head grader. Sorry, senior graders. That is cap. That is hootenanny. Thank you, Retrospecs, for the great terms here to throw out. But PSA 8 is generous. Like, this was years ago. It was only, like, I've talked with people who are like PSA fanboys, and they say, Dan, that was 4 years ago. Dan, that was only $1,000. I don't have the I don't have this pulled up. We're not gonna go through all of it. We're gonna move on to our next segment relatively soon. But like, if you are burying CGC today already, CGC hasn't had the opportunity to offer the resolution. They made a monumental boo-boo. They made a boo-boo. I'm not trying to say that CGC's boo-boo, this boo-boo by PSA was as bad as CGC's. Misgrading one Nidoking is significantly not as bad as misauthenticating 1,000 plus Beta, Alpha, Delta, Gamma, Echo, Foxtrot. It is significantly worse to misclassify, misauthenticate those cards, what CGC did, versus what PSA did here. But we already have the closure on the story with PSA. We have the closure. And I'm not saying it is, but I'm asking the question, is that not fraud? Outright fraud. Dan, it's only $1,000. Dan, it was 4 years ago. Who cares? Cert number one, Bill Mastro, FBI, PSA, Google it. There are multi-million-dollar cards. Do we need to talk about Kurt tonight? Do we need to talk about Kurt's card care tonight? Do we need to talk about the Victor Wembanyama one of one that was wiped with Kurt's card care and then authenticated by PSA? Do we need to talk about like all these inconsistencies? This is why I'm just building the case, and I'm not trying to convince anyone. I'm not trying to make you like, I'm not trying to make you sell it all. I'm not trying to make you sell it all, but I've been asked, Dan, if CGC is that incompetent, how can you continue to do business with them? How could you sleep at night continuing to do business with CGC, knowing what you know now? How could you sleep at night if over $1,000 PSA is, are PSA scamming people on their guarantee over $1,000? And I promise you, if you went through everything, I've seen PSA 10 Charizards that are worse than this Nidoking. I've seen PSA 10 Charizards that are worse than, I've held them in my hand. PSA 10 Charizards, PSA 10 first edition Charizards. PSA 10 first edition Charizard is $250,000. A PSA 8 one is like $12,000, $15,000 maybe, because we're booming lately. They used to be 10 a few months ago, but I think they're like 12 or 15 now. So when you say, Dan, it's a Nidoking, who cares? Dan, it's $1,000, who cares? It is millions of dollars. It is tens of millions of dollars. It might be hundreds of millions of dollars. The reason PSA, my thoughts, feelings, subjective opinion, is that the reason PSA wouldn't want to call this an 8 is because they're on the hook for 8 figures more if they were to give ground here. And one thing that changed in the past 10 years, I don't know when it changed. I should have used the Wayback Machine. I actually used the Wayback Machine tonight. We'll look at it later. But one thing that changed, news to me, and I'm too broke for it to apply, but there might be people listening. There might be people out there that are not too broke for it to apply. I assumed the PSA financial guarantee was, appreciate you, son of a Mewtwo, joining the membership. But there are people out there that this might affect. Let me find it. So there is a limit. There's a $250,000 limit per card on the financial guarantee. So if you buy the Onus Wagner 0000001 certification, that's like in the PSA SMR, that is an $8 million card. If you buy that and say PSA comes to its mind, say PSA admits that that card was trimmed, which I think it's well understood and believed, and people are quite confident it was trimmed, but they wouldn't pay out $8 million even if someone bought it for that. If someone bought it for $100 million, there's a per card cap of $250,000. That is not relevant to most people. That is not relevant to me. I sold one card, Gem Mint Pokemon's PSA 10 base first Charizard. I sold it for $217,500. That's the most expensive card I've ever personally sold. It was not my own. I did it on consignment through the eBay vault formerly. Now I consign through the Fanatics vault. But so I'm not affected personally, but like some people are. There are Pokemon cards. Logan's Illustrator that used to be a 10, bringing more into like why I don't buy into this whole grading thing, why I don't value it. Logan's Illustrator has a history. Logan's Illustrator used to be an 8 and a 9 and an 8 and a 9 and a 9 and a 9 and then it was a 10. Like there's history there. And I've seen too much. I've been around too long. I know too much. That is why I don't value these third-party grading card companies' opinions. I value them for my business. I know the market values them. I'm a wise businessman. And Dan, how could you deal with CGC when they're so fraudulent, when they do this and when they do that? PSA is too. I've actually had a conversation with people that I'm close to in the past couple weeks over this. Well, in the past week and a half, right? Week and a half ago is when the E4 thing dropped. I've had people ask me, how could you do business with a company that's so incompetent, so negligent? So I turn that question right back on you. I turn the question right back on you. And don't tell me it's $1,000. Don't tell me it's 4 years old. Kurt's Card Care, centering we're going to get to now. So PSA, let's set the stage. So we've closed that chapter. We have, if anyone comes in late, I'm not a CGC fanboy. I'm not a PSA fanboy. I am not taking down CGC, taking down PSA, taking down Beckett. And then 2 hours in, I'm not going to come out and say, well, hey, I'm sponsored by Tag. Submit your first 100 cards here and get $10 off per card. I promise you that's not coming. I promise you. I will talk badly about Tag too. Don't worry. PSA, they are objectively, there are numbers. They are the leaders. They are winning and it's not even close. If you had to give a grade to PSA as a company versus CGC as a company versus Beckett as a company, this is clever. This is not in my notes. I'm thinking of this on the fly. I think this is clever. Brad's gonna love it. I'm patting my own back before I say it. PSA is the black label of grading card companies. CGC is the CGC Gem Mint 10. Maybe they're the CGC 9.5 Mint Plus. And then Beckett is like a CGC 8.5 blue label, maybe something like that. But PSA really is the black label of grading card companies. Liquidity, volume, market cap, all that stuff. They are the industry standard. CGC changed their scale. Beckett almost changed their scale a couple years ago to conform more to PSA standards because they are the industry standard. So, PSA, you've been around for 30 years. CGC's only been around for a few. Beckett's been around for a while, I think, longer than CGC, but like they're barely hanging on. To be fair, I don't have anything pulled up for BGS. I think I'm roasting CGC. I'm roasting PSA. I'm ready to roast Tag. Beckett, you suck. Boom, roasted. We're done with Beckett. We're not gonna like pile on. Look at gem rate. Look at the data. They're having a hard time. So let me pull up the gem rate data. Gem rate data. Beckett, boom, roasted. You're down 15% in 2024 when everyone else is growing. Boom, roasted. We're done. We don't need to bury him. The horse is already dead. But let's continue on with PSA. PSA bought CGC a year or two ago. PSA owns the first and third place people. And third is close to second. See, SGC is 1.87 million cards. CGC is 2.3. PSA is 15.34. Doing some quick math. PSA owns 17 million out of the last 20 million slabs encapsulated. Doing the quick math. PSA owns 85% of the market. 17/20ths of the market. 20 million new pieces of plastic were put out into the world last year, and 17 million of them were owned by collectors because they own PSA and they owned SGC. So PSA is the front runner. Sure, CGC has gained some ground on them numerically. So CGC did come on the scene. They came out of nowhere. They did do comic books. They did do coins. CGC comic books, NGC coins. But maybe PSA feels a little bit like, but when you're the top dog, when you own 80% of the market, what in the hell are you doing, PSA? You make me a lot of money. CGC makes me a lot of money too. Beckett makes me a lot of money. But PSA, you make me the most money. You are atop the podium. No one's close. PSA, we're doing like the marathon. PSA has got the finish line in sight. What's a marathon? 23 miles-ish? I'm not a runner, clearly. PSA is 100 meters from the finish. And they're like sitting on the ground, playing with stones, looking back. CGC's at like 18-mile marker. You can't even see him. Beckett's back on the start line, maybe walking backwards. Maybe they tipped over backwards. I don't know what's going on with Beckett. PSA is like not just continuing forward. PSA is screwing around to 26.2. Thank you, J-Day. You are leading. You are winning. You are doing everything. Why? Oh, why? Oh, why, PSA? Would you do this? Why would you do this to us? So PSA's grading standards as of today. I've ranted about this before, but the grading systems are a fundamental joke. So PSA is professional sports authenticator. Per gem rate data, they grade more Pokemon cards than they do football or baseball or basketball. And the professional sports authenticator. They made the name 30 years ago. Pokemon didn't exist. Fair. All that stuff. But PSA, why did you change your grade definition? What in the actual hell are you doing? I'm sorry my lights aren't red yet. My lights should probably be red. We're doing it. We're doing it. Let me I'm sorry for using HE double hockey sticks without having the lights the proper lighting. So PSA, what in the actual hell are you doing? Changing your grading standards when you are winning. Nobody is close. Nobody is close. CGC, literally, let me look at the timing. I forget. Let's go back to the E4 post. So he posted this 11 days ago. What was 11 days ago? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so to be fair, CGC didn't make this fumble until after PSA changed their standards. But if PSA had changed their standards while CGC was fumbling this hard, that would have been even worse. But CGC, you're winning. Why did you touch this? It makes no sense. It was dumb as hell. Your standards are dumb as hell. They don't even apply to the card segment that you grade most or perfectly sharp corners. Let me check every Pokemon card I have. Oh no, every single one I have except for the tops ones. They have round corners. So fundamentally, no card can be a PSA 10 because they need to have 4 perfectly sharp corners. What are we talking about? If you're gonna fix them entirely. But like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's dumb. Like, semantically, it was a nightmare. It made no sense. But now they say the image must be centered on the card within a tolerance not to exceed approximately 55-45 on the front, 75-25 on the reverse. Dan, what does this mean? Who cares? What did it used to say? This is what it used to say. So I don't know why that light blinks, but what it used to say is that the card has to be centered within a tolerance not to exceed approximately 55-45 to 60-40. It makes no sense. If you're going to say approximately, the little tilde thing, if you're writing it out, if you say approximately and then you give a range, it makes no sense. It's like, I've been selling a card before, and then someone says, like, I have it listed for 150, and someone says, I'll pay 90 to 100. It's like, well, dummy, you're going to pay 100 now. Like, if you tell me the range you're going to pay, I'm going to make you pay the top of the range. So when PSA says approximately, and then they give a range, just say approximately the bigger number, approximately the worst number. If you are allowed to be approximately 60-40, 55-45 is redundant. It is extra words. Like, we have a teacher in here. Pokemon Classics. This is, I'm going to lose the right word here because I'm not great with words, not great with English. But like, this is redundant. This is, it can just be, it doesn't add anything to the sentence. But when you are defining a grade for a multi-billion-dollar company, you should be concise. It's ironic coming from me, the least concise person around. I'm ranting, rambling, saying the same thing over and over. So who am I to say someone should be concise? But when you have an outward-facing standard that is the grading card standard for a multi-billion-dollar industry that everyone looks up to and holds as the gold standard, it needs to be consistent. It needs to be clear, concise, logical, and it shouldn't change. PSA, what in the hell are you doing changing the words? So, to be fair to them, had they dropped 55-45, it would have functionally been identical. Had this said 60-40, it would have been like, okay, I don't know why they touched it, because it wasn't broke. It was dumb. It's always been dumb. But like, why touch it? But if you drop 55-45, it's functionally the same. But when you drop 60-40, now it goes from saying that you can be 60-40 approximately, now you can only be approximately 55-45. Centering is the one thing that, like, you can objectively see. You can objectively measure centering. Surface, corners, edges, all that stuff, those are so much harder, especially via a scan. Like, for PSA to change that, for them to have a financial guarantee that they theoretically do, but sometimes they don't do, and sometimes they do it, for them to have a guarantee, they've been around for 30 years. Our search just entered the 100 million cert era. PSA has authenticated nearly 100 million collectibles, and they are changing the wording on their financial guarantee. What in the hell are you doing? Further, they have a billionaire who runs it, the CEO of collectors. He told me once, Dan, don't be dumb. Nat Turner, PSA, don't be dumb. What are you doing? You are leading the race. No one is close, and you are changing your standards. You are not paying out on your financial guarantees. You are opening yourself up to a litany of Instagram posts, to a litany of YouTube videos where an old man with little hair, where an old man with a little hair and a big beard and red lights behind him. You are opening yourself up to this. Why did you do that? Don't be dumb. You're being dumb. What are you doing? We all want to win together, grow this hobby, make us money. What are we doing here? What are we doing? And it gets crazier. I'm not done yet. I promise. Nat Turner is a billionaire. How many billionaires in your life do you know, for one? I mean, a lot of us know Buffett and Bezos and Musk. And how many billionaires can you talk to and they'll answer? Nat, why are you answering DMs? And I say this all with like, I know I'm not sounding very respectful. I'm not. To be fair, he wasn't very respectful when he said, don't be dumb. I think I touched a sore subject. because the Victor Wembanyama, Kurt's Card Care, all that stuff was in the news at the time. But what are we doing? Why is a billionaire answering DMs? Why is there a screenshot on Instagram of a billionaire saying, "Hey Nat," so this was not my DM. This was shared on Instagram, and the guy tagged me in it because so shout out to Liao Cards on Instagram. He DM'd Nat. I DM'd Nat too. Nat didn't answer me. I'm too dumb for Nat to answer me. He said don't be dumb several months ago. So he's probably gonna be less likely to answer me again in the future after all this. But hi Nat, was there any changes in the standards for centering? People have noticed that the verbiage for the PSA 10 standard has removed the mention of 60/40, and it's a big deal. They're acting like it's not a big deal. It is a huge deal. The one objective measure that they provide, the one thing that can be verified by the scans on their website. You can't verify from a scan, the surface. You can't verify. Tag, shout out Tag. Oh yeah, plus or minus 6 within a 1,000-point scale. They claim that they can get that with scans. No, they can't. No, they can't. They're not doing that. Show me the data. I don't believe it whatsoever. I've seen that they can't do it, and we're going to get to that later. This is going to be a long one. Buckle in. Buckle in. Nat says no change in the day-to-day. They just updated the language on the website. That's how we've been operating. And continuing on. That's how we've been operating for a very long time, so it needed to be updated. What are you doing? If you changed it a long time ago, change it then. Why would you leave your website forgotten? A multi-billion-dollar industry, literally the standard that the industry operates to, and you can't be bothered to update your website in a timely fashion? What are you doing? Don't be dumb. That is dumb. That is objectively a dumb thing to do. And then this person says, for clarification, is it still possible to receive a PSA 10 with 60/40 centering on the front, or is that considered too OC now? He said it is not considered possible to receive a PSA 10 with 60/40 centering on the front. It hasn't been for years. Because their billionaire CEO DM'd rando people on the internet, because their billionaire CEO did that, they had to come out with a statement. And they had to say, where'd it go? I have it somewhere. They had to come out with this statement. And I know it's super blurry. We did recently update the language around our grading standards on our website to specify that the targeted threshold for centering for a card qualify for a PSA 10 grade is 55/45. Let's continue on here. This has long been the ideal centering threshold to achieve a PSA 10 grade, though 60/40 was denoted to factor in that. At the grader's sole discretion, a small variance may be permitted on occasion based on the card's overall eye appeal. Okay, so you're saying that, like, it's always been 50/45, but 60/40 is kind of there too. So, like, it's there, but we removed it because it's not there, but it's there. To clarify, okay, guys, we're clarifying here. Everything will be more clear. Just like Nat said, water's a chemical. Don't be dumb. Just like all that stuff, guys. It's very clear. It's very clear whether or not you can use Kurt's Card Care. It's very clear that you can't use. You can use saliva and microfiber cloth, and you can use water, but you can't use Kurt's Card Care, which is natural. People are using it all the time. People are talking about it. I know people who use it all the time. I don't use it myself. Please, if you can sign with me and you use it, don't tell me about it. I don't want to know if you're using it. I never have. I never will, because I know that PSA doesn't want us to. But like when they say this stuff is clear, what a joke. This stuff is not clear whatsoever. So to clarify, everything will be crystal clear after this. This variance from 55/45 for a PSA 10 grade can still happen today. Again, at the individual grader's discretion, and this centering note is also denoted on our grading standards page. So, like, for clarity, our billionaire CEO is DMing people this. It is not possible to get a PSA 10 with 60/40. Our billion-dollar company, leading a billion-dollar industry, out front so far that no one's close, is making statements that say, like, 55/45 always was the standard, but 60/40 always kind of happened. And to clarify, it can still happen, but it's so important that we remove the verbiage that we removed it. But then also, this is the Wayback Machine. This is what it used to be, and this is what it is now. So it's so clear. For clarity, we removed 60/40 from here, but then if you scroll all the way down, for clarity, we have an asterisk with a bold centering note. At the greater sole discretion, a small variance may be permitted on occasion based on the card's overall eye appeal. What did we just do? What are we doing? I am not an expert. I am not an expert. But what in the actual hell are we doing, PSA? Don't be dumb. You're DMing this. You used to say this. Functionally, I think you're still saying this because you have this. Why did we do all that? What did we just do? We just went through a whole bunch of shit. Like, how dumb are these people? These are the people who are leading the way in this industry. We have CGC. Again, if people come in now, they'll be like, Dan is a CGC stan. Dan hates PSA. He's got a vendetta against them. CGC is ignorant, incompetent, negligent, potentially further. I don't know. CGC is dumb as hell for this. PSA is dumb as hell for this. What are we doing here? What is going on? Am I losing my mind? Am I crazy? Let me go to chat. Let me go to chat. And I'm a Nat fan. I'm a fan of these companies. They make me a lot of money. Brad says this is all subjective. One person might call it 55-45, and the next calls it. Brad, no, that is dumb, Brad. Centering is not subjective. Centering you can measure. Centering is the one objective measure. 60-40 is an objective, firm, measurable thing. Like, what you just said it's wrong. What you said is wrong. It is wrong. Surface is subjective. What is a 10? What is a 9? Corners are more subjective. The severity of the whitening, the severity of the scratch, the severity. Centering is not subjective. It is the one objective measure. It can be measured. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you for clarity. So, very, very modern cert. It is not possible. It has not been possible for years. We're just updating our standard to reflect what we do today, which is what we used to do, but it's not what we used to do. It's all very clear. Kurtz card care, natural substances, but you can't use it. Water you can use. You can lick your thumb. You can do this. It's like, if you put Kurtz card care on your tongue, then can you lick your thumb and wipe it off and use a microfiber? What are we? Nothing is clear. Nothing is clear. And I know I'm like, some people are going to say, Dan, you've lost your mind. You're making mountains out of molehills. This stuff actually matters. This stuff actually matters. And I know when you grade 10 million collectibles, no, what was it? When you grade 15 million collectibles in a year, there will be issues. There will be errors. But like, I just had to show this one. This one was funny. I couldn't not show this one. Where am I? Why is it not showing? So this is a Heracross that, for some reason, is a PSA 10. It was graded in the 9.3 cert era. It was graded very recently. And I know, 13 million collectibles authenticated. Some are going to be an issue. Look at that centering. Look at that centering. This is the one objective measure. I'm a fan of Nat. I've watched Nat talk with Neo cards. I've watched Nat talk with PK. Don't ever expect Nat coming on my channel. Don't ever expect him coming on Pokeflips. I probably won't ever ask. I don't think he would after this. But he's mentioned before that PSA actually uses computers. They actually use AI, computers, whatever they use. He said that they use scans, computer measured, to verify centering at some part of their process. Maybe they only do it at the high level. Maybe they don't do it at bulk. But like, how did this get through? Supposedly this got through the encapsulator. This got through 2 professional graders at PSA. 1 out of 13 million, who cares? Yeah, I know. But like, I have graded in the past years, in the past months, in the past weeks, I have graded so many cards that are 60-40 or worse. This card is 71-29. I've graded hundreds. I might have graded 1,000 60-40 or worse cards in the past couple years at PSA. I've probably graded 1,000 cards. PSA is the easiest grader. I send my best cards to Beckett, my second best cards to CGC, my worst cards to PSA. And I've never tended a card this bad. This one would reach my not grading pile. whoever graded this was probably looking for a miscut. They were probably looking for an OC designation, but they got the gem mint 10, 71.29. Like, what are we doing here? What is going on? I'm not a professional. I'm not an expert, but like PSA, 2 professionals at PSA called this a gem mint 10. And what is going on? What is going on? It's like, am I the crazy one, or is something going on here? So like all this said, all this ranting, rambling, I don't care what they think. I care what they think to the extent that it affects my bank account. I care that the market cares. I don't care what they think though. My collection moving forward, I just dropped stuff. My collection moving forward is gonna be in binders. I don't care what PSA thinks. I don't care what CGC thinks. I don't care what Becca thinks. I have owned so many 10s that were worse than so many 9s that I've owned. PK and I on our stream on Fanatics, every card we pulled, it's like I've seen worse. I've seen better 9s and I've seen worse 10s. The amount of overlap between the grades, the amount of unprofessionalism, the amount of inconsistency, the amount of incompetence, the amount of negligence, the amount of fraud going on with grading card companies. I am opting out of collecting them. I'm opting out of them as a whole. But like as a business, I'm there. I think I meant to show this earlier. I lost my order. When we went from here, I was supposed to go to here. I was supposed to go like this, like this, like this, and then like this. And it would have landed really well. But like BBCE, authenticating $2 million, resealed cases, it's negligence. There's potentially some amount of fraud going on. Question mark. I don't know. Thoughts, feelings, subjective opinion. But like, I just don't like it. I don't like so many things fundamentally about it. And the market values it all more than I do. So I as a business, I will continue to take money from that market. But like same way PSA does, same way CGC does, same way BGS does. They are all capital removers from the hobby. And I think they provide a needed service. But when they do things so dumb, so incompetent, changing a standard that you're not functionally changing, but you changed, and then it's so crazy. Like, what are we doing? What are we actually doing? If anyone that is like a CGC stan can say that all this is fine, let me know. If anyone is a PSA fanboy that can say all this is fine, let me know. I think it's unacceptable. I, as a consumer, it's funny because like as a consumer, I'm voting with my wallet in that I'm not going to collect any more of these things. I haven't been for years because like the market values them so much more than I do. But as a business, I'm spending 1,000 times like what the average consumer would. So like I'm grading way more because it makes me money. So like we might get into more things. If people are here for it, I'm down. I'm down to hang for like hours more. Let me know in the chat. Do you guys want to hang for hours more? Do you guys want to talk about the other drama in the space? I generally, and Brad's gonna say I'm a drama llama. Brad's gonna say I'm a pot stirrer. I will retort to him that he is the drama llama, that he is the pot stirrer. But we balance each other well. But there's a lot of other things going on in the hobby right now that I have strong thoughts, opinions, feelings on. And I think a lot of people just have like such broken opinions on. Like, opinions theoretically can't be wrong, but some people have the opinion that 2 + 3 is 4. So like, or that 2 + 2 is 5. And opinions actually can be wrong. Opinions can be so bad that I just feel the need. Anyone who so vehemently defends PSA, anyone that so vehemently defends CGC, I need to put this out there. I don't think any of them are fully defensible. Epoch Coda says audio cutting in and out, but I see other people saying the audio is fine. I appreciate you, son of a Mewtwo, gifting the memberships. We are going to see the lawnmower run 10 times. I'm going to pop that up on screen. But yeah, if people want to go longer, let me know. I still have to close out on tag. I haven't finished with tag. So let me check my things. I don't know if I want to close the windows yet, because I might not be done with them, but I probably am. I appreciate you, son of a Mewtwo, though, for the 10 gifted. I have so many tabs open. So here, shout out to my boy Josh. Shout out to Greeny. And some tag defenders might say that like this has been rectified, but a computer for now is only as good as the human that trains it. How is the? I thought it was 10 gifted. How is that still going? Okay, that seemed like way more than 10. I don't know why that kept going, but yeah, that seemed like way more than 10. Appreciate you, son of a Mewtwo. But yeah, let me continue on. So Greeny had a CGC 7.5. I think it used to be a PSA 9. So it used to be a PSA 9. Shout out to the Green Shiz Collectibles on YouTube, Instagram, all the places. But he had what used to be, I believe, a PSA 9 Creatures Deck Zapdos. And then he cracked it out. I'm trying to find where he shows the PSA label. I can't find it. It's in his hand right there, but he's not shown it yet. I don't want to just play the whole video, but I believe the card was a CGC 9.5, which he shows here. So it was a CGC 9.5. He's not showing the PSA label. Let me see if he shows it really quickly. Maybe someone in chat, maybe Greeny's in chat, he can let us know. But he had a CGC 9.5. It used to be a PSA 9 as well, I believe. And then he cracked it out and he sent it to Tag. When he cracked it out, he dinged it. He damaged it. And then what did Tag do? Tag went and gave it a 10. Tag gave it a 10. This one's hard to show. So when I showed you the Shadowless Nidoking, it was very evident. It was very obvious. But somewhere over here, there's a dent. There's a dent on the card. It would have been like a PSA 6 probably, but Tag rated it a 10. Greeny made a video about it. He made a video about how a CGC 7.5 turned into a Tag 10, and then Tag deactivated the cert. To be fair to them, when you make an error, you have to make up for the error. You have to make it right. You have to take the card back. You had to regrade it properly, which they did. But how this computer that supposedly is infallible, it's not like a human. It's still trained by humans though. It's infallible. It graded a CGC 7.5 as a Tag 10. I believe he got it sent back, and I don't have here what it ended up as. I believe it ended up as a Tag 8 when he was done. So like that's another thing that I have with PSA that we could talk about. Not to go back to PSA so quickly, but I guess I am. But Tag theoretically is robots, it's AI, it's infallible. It's not, I promise. They claim plus or minus 6 out of 1,000 reproducibility. I don't care enough to spend the money. I don't care enough to give them the money to verify that. But when a Tag 10 goes to a Tag 8, that's not plus or minus 6 out of 1,000. That's plus or minus 200 out of 1,000. That's and that's one. But like to be like, how many have Tag graded? I've seen some of the heat maps. I've seen some of the reports on Tag 970s, Tag 960s, and there's like a white dot on the corner, and the heat map shows 1,000 out of 1,000. If we're grading a corner on a 1,000-point scale, and I can visibly see a white dot, and it calls it 1,000 out of 1,000, I call cap, I call hootenanny, I call everything on that scale. Like, what are we doing here? The Tag roast is shorter because it's not as needed. The Beckett call out was shorter because it's not as needed. I went harder at the big dogs because I think they can handle it. And honestly, all this is done generally out of love. All this is done generally out of like me wanting them to get their shit together and lead us through this bull run, lead us past Pluto, lead us into the next galaxy. I want this hobby to grow, and it will be easier to have that happen with good leadership, good, competent, logical, reasonable, honest, trustworthy people stewarding our journey along the way. And could it be worse? Absolutely. I think most of the time they do a pretty good job, but sometimes they just drop the ball so hard that I think they need to be called out about it. I think they need to be called out about it. I hope this doesn't like some people. I've had conversations privately with people where like I don't want to talk publicly bad about Daddy PSA because they're gonna give me more 9s next time. I've run my mouth about PSA, BGS, CGC for a long time. I don't think I've ever been punished. If and when they were to ever start doing things like that, that would be where like all of it goes out the window. Like this whole thing is an actual sham scam. If they, I've heard that tinfoil hat theory. I don't believe in that whatsoever. I think PSA is really dumb at times. I think CGC is really dumb at times, but I don't think they have ever, would ever consciously target people negatively affecting their grades. Is there some amount of favoritism? Is there some amount of Chum Leon with CGC? And I've heard that criticism many times. Google Chumlee PSA. PSA has graded Chumlee's cards, and they know that they were Chumlee's cards. And I don't buy into the tinfoil hat conspiracies. And some of the, I've got this in my notes, some of the things that go on. It's like these people that fanboy PSA so hard, and PSA is the best, PSA is this, PSA is that. They're amazing. And then they say like, oh, I don't submit English cards with Japanese cards because they'll be graded lower if I do that. Like, you think PSA is so good and the best at grading, but you believe in this thing that like, you believe you don't give enough credence to the expertise of the graders that they can't objectively grade cards irrespective of what order they go in. Like I know people that won't submit 20 of the same card in a row because they think of the 9 tax. I've submitted 50 Reds Pikachus in a row, and I've gotten 50 PSA 10s in a row. The amount of fanboyism around PSA, and then simultaneously, these people hold conspiracy theories that like the only way this conspiracy holds true is like if they have high levels of inconsistency and or incompetency. So it's like, just try to be logical and reasonable and rational. Like if you believe that you can't sub English and Japanese together because PSA will ding your English cards like grades worse than if they were graded separately. Well, what happens if you submit all your WotC cards after a One Piece submission, after a Japanese Pokemon submission, after whatever the most like Kevlar type black label every card? You can't control what's before and after it. So it's like I don't do that stuff. I don't play those games. I know that I have a couple people saying the audio is going in and out, but like most people are not saying that. So it's weird that more than one person would have that issue. But maybe my mic is peaking because I'm getting too riled up and it's going too loud. But oh, so Peak That Shoe. I didn't know you graded that one. You sent it to me, but I didn't know that you had graded it. So that's funny. Peak That Shoe was actually the one who graded that. I forget if I had mentioned that Peak That Shoe sent it to me. I apologize if I hadn't. I meant to. But yeah, I don't know. These are all one guy's thoughts, opinions, feelings. This is why one guy will interact in a way where he buys and sells. He uses the service to make more money in the hobby. And some people say that would be immoral. Why would you do that? Like some people would say scalping is immoral. Dan, you're selling prismatic packs for 12 bucks on a live stream. Why would you do that? I feel like I am logically, morally open, honest, transparent. I feel like I'm consistent. If I'm ever being hypocritical, if I'm ever being logically illogical, inconsistent, if I'm ever being any of those things, like please call me out. If I'm ever slipping, I care about CGC, I care about the hobby, I care about PSA. If I see them slipping, I want to call them out and I want them to be better for it. If PSA would just, oopsies, we made a dummy move, let's revert the scale, revert the thing back to what it used to be. It used to be dumb, but now it's more dumb because now it says something different, which caused everyone to be like, what the hell? You certified 100 million cards over 30 years, and now you're changing your scale. But they changed it, and they put the asterisk at the bottom. It's less clear than it's ever been, and it was never very clear to begin with. So, like, what are we doing? It's so wild. But like, Dan, why would you interact with these businesses? And some of these things, we could start to pivot. We could start to pivot over into morality, and we could start to pivot over into, I think everyone should have some amount of a moral compass. I believe I do have one. I believe that I am logically consistent. I hate when people are hypocritical. I hate when people are illogical, inconsistent. I hate when people are immoral. And some things with morality, some things with, like, some of that is subjective. and there's a lot of gray area. There's a lot of nuance, and we could get into it tonight if you guys want to. But let me just double check my notes and make sure I don't miss any major bullet points on all the stuff I talked about already. I think I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover. And I didn't remotely. I could have piled on any one of these companies harder. BGS has graded, mislabeled certain cards. PSA has mislabeled, misgraded. They've graded sealed packs that ended up opening and they were like resealed packs. They graded they graded fake first edition stamps. CGC has had all kinds of issues too. Like I'm just not a consumer of the actual product itself. I'm a middleman of the product. I will bring the product to the people that want it because they're paying absurd premiums for it. And I have no issue with doing that morally. I don't think there's anything wrong with selling to an adult something they're willing to pay like a certain number for, whether it's packs at scalper prices or whether it's what I think are like. And back during the boom, I sold $1,000 EVs. I sold $1,000 Pikachus. I sold $9,000 PSA, sorry, $6,000 PSA 9 base unlimited Charizards. I sold a PSA 9 Shadowless Hollow set, 16 cards for $30,000. And I sold, to be fair too, I sold Jungle Eevee and Pikachu for $500. If you would ask me, Dan, do you value this card at $500? I would have said, hell no. Do you think this card is going to be worth $500 in a month, in a year? Hell no. If you would ask me, Dan, do you think in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, this card is going to be worth $1,000 when it was $500? I would have said, hell no. Is it immoral to sell a card you think is going to go down? I would say no, because I don't set the prices. And a lot of times I've been wrong. A lot of times I've sold the $1,000 Eevee, sorry, the $500 Eevee, and then it's went to $1,000. I've sold the $500 Evolutions box that I thought was insane, and then it went to $1,000. And I thought it was going to recoil back to $500, $400. It only went down to $700. Now it's $1,000 again. So where I think it's moral to sell cards for what people are willing to pay, because like for all I know, that card right now is $700. For all I know, in a month, in a year, in 10 years, that might be $1,000. That might be $2,000. The market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. For all I know, in 10 years, that card could be $100, PSA 10, gray felt hat. And for all I know, it could be $1,000, $2,000. I think it will be somewhere in between. If I had to guess, it wouldn't be 100. If I had to guess, it wouldn't be 2,000. I think it'll be somewhere in between. But like, I genuinely don't know. So I think there's nothing immoral, illogical, irrational about doing business in a way that makes you money. I talk about it on YouTube. If you ask me, if you send me an eBay DM, is this a good investment? Do you think this will go up? Should I buy this? I will say I'm selling it. I will say the same thing I said to the people that were buying $500 and $1,000 EVs from me. I like, if you're in a live stream and I'm there, and should I bid on this? Like, bid whatever you're willing to pay. I've done, let me actually show. I've done the worst box break advertising that was ever done in the history of Pokemon. I broke years ago. This is a 2-year-old video. I bought a Team Rocket box, a Jungle box, and a Fossil box. And I showed you how every pack was negative EV. I have this video. I've done it before. I'll probably do it again. Mostly, if you know my channel, I mostly tell people, like, I wouldn't buy XYZ if ABC. Like, I don't tell you don't buy, do buy. Say, I'm here. I have it if you want it. But, like, I am never buy XYZ. It's going to go up. Sell. It's going to go down. I'm just like, I'm here. I've got this stuff if you want it. Buy it if you want to. Don't buy it if you don't want to. Whatever. I genuinely have no clue where this stuff is going. So I've been challenged. I've been challenged by some people like close to me. Dan, if you think it's all so dumb, if you think it's all so like why do you do it? Because for the past 10 years that I've been in the hobby, the numbers have exceeded anything I ever thought would have happened. I've been wrong in a lot of ways. Like, I've sold a lot of stuff way too early. I've been way too pessimistic. I've been way too bearish on so much stuff. So like, I am not an expert. I barely know what I'm doing here. I'm just doing the best that I can. Oh, let me find it. Let me find it. It's fresh. It's recent. I'm just providing observational information to the best of my ability, and people can infer what they want from it. Shout out to Pokemon Flying Master on E4. That is the saying. I have it I have it bookmarked in my Google Chrome browser, which makes no sense, but I'm just providing observational information to the best of my ability, and people can infer what they want from it. That is my stance. That is my opinion. That is borrowed quote from the wise man, Pokemon Flying Master. But yeah, let me continue on. I covered tag. I covered them very briefly because like I don't think they need heavy covering. I don't think they need to be like beat down because they're not doing a whole lot right now. I don't think the whole future thing plus or minus 6 out of 1,000. No, I've seen plus or minus 200. So like boom, roasted. We don't need to go further into tag in my opinion. Could they do more things in the future? Might I grade with tag in the future? By no means am I saying I'm never going to use it. I think the market is likely to pay irrational sums of money for cardboard encased in plastic. If and when I deem tag a viable business opportunity, I will grade with tag. There's a lot of people, and I open, honesty, transparency, don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. These are like the core things that I live by, and I try to do right by. I'm not perfect. By no means. I'm not Arceus himself. I'm not trying to be the judge, jury, and executioner on what is right, what is wrong, what is moral, what is immoral. But I try to do what's best. I try to do what's right by me. I think there's nothing wrong with selling packs for a price that, like, on my eBay, you'll find Japanese boxes that were fulfilled by retrospecs, _retrospecs on Instagram. If you want to buy any Japanese boxes. And also, shout out, let me share this too while we're here. Let me share this while we're here. I'm actually going to give Retro his plug right here, right now. I don't know if he wants it when the lights are red, but it's coming, Retro. Where's my chat? Here's my chat. So here is an affiliate link that I'm going to post in chat. That is an affiliate link for Retro's new website. No, that is not it. That's the wrong one. I posted the wrong one. I don't think that'll do anything for you because you have to be logged in to do that. Let me find the actual link. I copied the wrong link. Here we go. Here is the actual link for Retrospect's website. So we have boxes on eBay. Is it immoral? Is it wrong to have boxes on eBay for higher than Retro sells them wholesale? No, it's a different consumer base. Is it wrong to not be the cheapest price on everything everywhere you sell? No, I don't think so. Name, brand, trusted, all that stuff. But like, if you want them, eBay affiliate link below, Retro will fulfill Japanese boxes on my eBay at the highest price. That one's here. If you want on Retro's website, if you want to buy 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 boxes, it's a middle price. Not the lowest, it's not the highest, but it's in between. There's an affiliate link for Retrospect's website. Use code MEAT to get 5% off your minimum $100 purchase. Yes, use code MEAT, use code MEAT on his new website, and you'll get $5 off. Affiliate link. I get $1 if you do that. So you save $5, I get $1 for the referral. But eBay pricing is here. Retro fulfills, Retro does all that stuff on my eBay. His website price is here. His wholesale price is here. _retrospecs on Instagram. He's the cheapest, but you have to buy 20. On his website, you could buy 5. You could buy 3. You could buy 10. You could buy 1. All those options are out there. Is it immoral? Is it unethical? So some people are like, if you're not the cheapest price on the entire market, that is wrong. That is unethical. If you're selling for above MSRP, you're scalping. No, that's so dumb. If you're selling an item that nobody needs for market price, I didn't set market price. Whether I'm auctioning a PSA 10 Van Gogh on eBay, on Fanatics, wherever, whether I'm auctioning an item, whether I'm saying a buy it now and someone's choosing to click and bid, and someone's choosing to click and buy it now, add it to their cart, someone's choosing to DM Retrospecs, and oh, hey, I found a different Instagram supplier. I found a different website where it was actually a little bit cheaper. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like, do your own due diligence, look around. It's unreasonable. Some of the opinions out there right now. It's so wild. The entitlement that swirls, the rare minority of the time. I've been in the hobby for 10 years. In 10 years, every pack has eventually been available for under $6 a pack. Every pack, every set has been available. Evolving Skies, even Surging Sparks for some time. Prismatic, not yet, because it's so new. I believe, I can't guarantee it, I'm not 100% sure, but like it would be the first set if Prismatic Evolutions doesn't come around to where it's available cheaper than $6 a pack, it will have been the first set in the history of Pokemon to ever have that happen. I believe in the next 12 to 18 months, maybe 6 to 18 months, Prismatic Evolutions will be under $6 a pack. But for right now, I didn't set the price. Did I get some from my distributor? $30 ETBs? Yes, I did. I've spent over $1 million with them over the past 10 years. I don't think I'm entitled to like getting free tendies to that level. I don't think I'm entitled to like making $100 on the ETB. But when it's there for the taking, I'm gonna take it. I'm not gonna be this, oh, I only sell for MSRP, and some amount of those people who do that, I'm not gonna name names. I don't even entirely know, but I know it happens to some extent. Some amount of the people that only sell for MSRP, yes, on their website, in their LGS, wherever, moving out the back door, they're selling for market. We're gonna leave it there. We're gonna leave it there. Distributors, to some extent, distributors are not just distributing. They're not just wholesaling product. They are side dooring, meet me in the alley, 95% of market, 90% of market. That stuff's going on. So like, it's up the whole chain. There's rotten stuff going on in all aspects of the hobby, and everyone should be as moral as possible. Everyone, like, don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. I'm not perfect. I'm trying to be the best I can be. I hope everyone tries to be the best they can be. But those are all my thoughts. Those are all my opinions. It's so wild when people try to say that you're a scalper. I made that reel from my red light rant 2 weeks ago. I made a rant where I hear my kids stirring. I hope nobody wakes up, and I have to end this early. Hopefully they don't wake up. But I don't set the prices. I just sell for whatever the market dictates. If and when I buy at $92.50 and P-Football Pete is selling on eBay, and Safari Zone is selling on Facebook, if they're selling for $90 when I paid $92.50, I don't cry about it. I don't go bitch and moan about, oh, hey, I paid $92.50. It's not fair that the end consumer can buy it for $90. Like, I either buy it or I don't buy it. I either choose to sell my product for a loss or I choose to hold it. It's like, I grow up, everybody. Like, nobody needs this stuff. It's not air, it's not water. It's just so wild. People crying about not being able to pay MSRP when they feel entitled to it. Like, shouldn't an LGS be able to cry when end consumers can buy stuff for cheaper than wholesale? Isn't that as unfair, equal in the opposite direction? Like, it's just so wild. It's so wild. It's so unreasonable. But yeah, I'm going to probably start to engage with chat more. I've been going for an hour and 43 minutes, and I've minimally looked at chat. Chat only stays for an hour, so I can't even try to scroll back. If you have questions, let me know. I see someone saying ace grading is the future. Ace only got a couple minutes of fame in this video, but like, they're not, I don't know. They have to change drastically if they're going to the future. And to be honest too, I think so many people are so firmly in the CGC, tag, ace. So many people are so firmly in one encampment. I think it's reasonable that 30 years from now, that's how long PSA's been around, there could be an entirely new player that no one's ever heard of. It could be ABC, XYZ, 1, 2, 3. There could be an entirely new thing. And me personally, as a collector, as a former collector mostly, because like, you guys just value everything more than I do, so I have to sell it all. But if and when CGC goes under, if and when Beckett goes under, if and when PSA goes under or gets knocked off the podium, the card inside the case is the same. If and when PSA gets knocked off the podium, I can crack this out and I can grade it with anyone. So people get so wrapped up in the day-to-day, and they get so tribal, and they get so barbaric, telling other people to play in traffic over liking the wrong team. It's like, this is not that deep. People get so biased by, and I like, big thing, I do business with all of them. I make money with all of them. But like, Dan, what do you hold? What do you own? There are people on Instagram. There are people on YouTube. There are people that are horrifically biased. There are people with 6, 7, 8-figure positions in PSA, in CGC, in BGS, and they will run their mouth relentlessly about all kinds of stuff about the other ones. They'll never talk down on the one that's their team, and they won't be transparent about what they have. They won't be transparent about their bias. That is immoral to me. That is borderline, depending on, these aren't securities, so like the telling what you have, telling what you own, the disclosures probably aren't legally necessary, but some of that is far beyond. Everyone should draw their own line in the sands. What's allowable, what's fine, what's not fine for them. To me, that's over the line. If you own $1 million in PSA slabs and all you constantly do is shit on CGC and shit on BGS and shit on Tag and Ace, and you don't disclose that, like, you are very biased towards PSA, I think that is wrong of you. My personal holdings, my entire slab holdings, I'm gonna keep one PSA 10 gray felt hat forever to commemorate the best play of my life that I made with John. The video will be coming in the next month or so. PSA has still not gotten me my cards back. FIFO, first in, F off. They are unfortunately not first in, first out because of all the fringe cases. This is the best play I've ever made in my life, and I'm gonna keep a PSA 10 forever of that card. I'm gonna keep an Evolutions box forever, right by the bear right there. Like, I have a decent sized PC, even though I say that I have almost no personal collection. But I have a PSA 10 half out Mario Pikachu that was gifted to me. My entire collection of all my slabs is like under $10,000, and I sell 7 figures a year. I sell 7 figures a year, and I have an extremely low 5-figure collection. So all my ranting on PSA, CGC, BGS, Tag, XYZ, WTF, all my ranting on those, know my context, know my potential biases. I use all the companies to make money. I hold almost nothing. Relative to the business that I do, I functionally hold a negligible amount. But there's a lot of people that chirp, that run their mouths constantly, that will not disclose their biases. They will not disclose their holdings. And same thing goes when I talk about, like, people talking about investing and this and that. They talk all this passion, they talk all this stuff about, and then they own like 2 booster boxes. It's like, my whole channel, openness, honestness, transparency. I'm not perfect, but I try to be the best I can be with all of it. So I expect the most from other people too. I don't like when people demand more transparency than they give themselves. That's always been kind of weird to me. That's kind of a pet peeve. But I'm going to engage with the chat more. I have a couple other notes on some of the other. If people ask about it, I'll talk about it. I'm not going to bring it up first. But if people start talking about other things, we can go down that road if we need to. I'm going to actually, we might go back into the red, but I'm going to go back blue and orange. Oh, I have a missed call, but I will call them tomorrow. We got back to blue and orange. We are back to the branding. I'm going to engage with the chat. I do see your question, Retro. Do you still have your PSA 10 Dan card? That is a PC Grail. I genuinely don't know where it is. Yes, I do have that, though. I do have a PSA 10 Dan card from Rebel Clash. I don't think it's behind me anymore. I actually have a bunch of slabs over here that are like, my entire PC, I think, is here. I think this is my entire PC. Well, plus what's behind me. So, I have my PSA 10 gray felt hat. I have my gray felt hat signed by Brad G. Cards because I destroyed him at basketball in Chicago. I have some cards that are meaningful to me. I pulled them at events. I have my old Fortnite skin that I pulled and graded myself. AIM, the robot. I have the PSA 9 Charizard that I pulled on stream with PK and SM Pratt and King Pokemon and a bunch of other people. This is the half art Mario Pikachu that I got as a gift, Santa gift E4 years ago. So yeah, this is like, obviously, this is one of these two. One of these two Bigfoot, I forget which one. I'd have to look back at the video. But one of these two Bigfoot, Gary King Pokemon, pulled for me at Orlando Collecticon back in 2021, I believe. And then here's the red ink, the MetaZoo card that that I pulled myself on stream last year when MetaZoo died. And here's a Griddle Greaser Pete, my favorite cryptid, one of my favorite cryptids with Bigfoot in MetaZoo. So like, this is pretty much my entire PC right here. I know there's a couple cards missing. If it's not graded now, if it's raw, I'm not going to grade any cards that I'm keeping forever. Here's a couple cards that I pulled in a beta box break. Actually, they were pulled by someone else on behalf of me at Collecticon. But oh yeah, there's the Rudy Pump and Dump card. Like, I will never grade this card. If I have a raw card that is in my PC, I don't care enough about their opinion. Their being CGC, BGS, PSA, whoever. Everything will be going in binders. I'm getting a slab binder to put all my slabs into that I care about. I don't have that much distaste for PSA, CGC, BGS that I'm gonna like crack out a PSA 10 card. I'm not gonna crack out this card. Someday I'm gonna die. And someday someone's going to inherit this. I want them to have a higher liquidity option to offload them. But sorry, children. Sorry, whoever inherits my stuff. Anything that's not graded already, I'm not going to grade. You'll have to grade that after my passing. Because I do not value PSA's opinion, let alone $17. I don't value it $3. I don't value CGC's opinion 50 cents. I don't value Beckett's opinion $1. I value their resale value. That's what I value. I value that the market values them. So that's where I'm at. PCG, XYZ, 123, WTF, BBQ, CGC, PSA, BGS. Those are the only ones I've ever graded with, I believe. During the boom, I contemplated grading with some other ones. I've contemplated sending the tag a couple times. I've contemplated sending the AGS. Ace grading. I never have. Like, most of the money, most of the liquidity is in the big slabs. Might I play a little slab optimization? Might I buy some PSA 9s, some CGC 9.5s, and try to go for tag 10s? I absolutely might. I haven't yet. If and when I do, I'll talk about it. Grading is a huge subjective, consistently inconsistent, where the rules are made up. Literally the rules are made up. You cannot make this stuff up. The rules are literally made up. And the grades don't matter. Like, it is such a joke. It is so inconsistent, consistently inconsistent. Their level of incompetence, all of them, not just PSA, it's just so wild to me that I will interact in a way that makes me money, but I will not give them more money than I'm getting from someone else. Any card that I'm holding, I'm not putting in a slab because it's just crazy. Let me Retro's calling me out for trying to bait, for trying to get someone to bait me into talking about the other topics. Do you know why Beckett is not responding to emails, waiting for my card saying pending invoice? I think Beckett has always had horrible customer service. I just saw somebody talking in Discord today. PSA takes a week to answer messages, so it's like, I don't know. It's really weird. Are you going to Miami Comic-Con? I'm not. Thank you, Panga. You too. You too. There is a zoo Kickstarter box in the back. There's two. There's one right here and there's one right here where my finger is. There are two MetaZoo Kickstarter first edition booster boxes. I'm excited for MetaZoo coming back. I will be likely. I'm not cemented in. I'm not locked in fully, but I will be probably going to Fort Lauderdale. MetaZoo has publicly announced that they are going to launch March 28th. March 28th, apparently, same as, or no, yeah, March 28th is also, wait, where'd it go? Didn't somebody just talk about oh, Miami Comic-Con. Might not be that date, but where's Basic when you need him? I will be going March 28th weekend, very likely, to Fort Lauderdale Collecticon. The launch date, I believe, for MetaZoo base set, which I'm excited for. Do you think PSA tries to meet a quota on subs to limit the 10 rates? I got back a 50 card sub yesterday, 31 10s and 19 9s. Of the 19 I cracked, I'll be resubmitting 13 because they look flawless. No, I just think they're incompetent. Truly, I think they're so inconsistent. I think they're so incompetent. I don't think they're that great at grading. And getting back to what I said at the outset, I think they do a good enough job. But like, if a PSA 10 were if a raw card was 50, I would value a PSA 10 at like 90. But if a raw card's 50, there are some cards where the raw card's 50 and the PSA 10's like 250. Like, that blows my mind. I don't care about their opinion that much. Even if their opinion were good, even if their consistency, reliability, precision, accuracy, even if that stuff was good, I wouldn't value it that much. Because like a 9 is a minimal difference. My eyes are not amazing. If I hold a card this far away, I don't have it on camera. If I hold a card this far away and I have to squint to see what's wrong with it, I don't care. That's why I was always a 9 collector, because 9s looked just as good to me at arm's length. But the market just values like back in my day. Now I'm really old man yelling at the clouds. Back in my day, I used to buy PSA 9s for like raw price. I like selling a PSA 9 used to be, and sometimes it is. Right now it's not because we're booming. Selling a PSA 9 used to be like a loss, and then the PSA 10 was like multiples of that. I remember when PSA 10 Laprases were like $700, and I want to say the 9 was like $50-$60, or maybe not even. I always found the most value in the 9s, but like now it's just crazy. And the amount of 9s I've cracked out and gotten 10s, I've never cracked a 10 out because I like money. But if you crack out 110s, you're not going to get 110s again. The reproducibility of this stuff is just laughable, in my opinion. It's crazy to me. I don't understand why the market attributes such a high value, but it doesn't hurt my feelings. I leverage that opportunity and turn it into business. I turn it into money. Like that's what a reasonable, rational person should do with it. As someone who's contemplating grading some cards I've been collecting, I will say that I believe you make a compelling case for why not to grade. So my whole, like, and I'm not trying to convince people. I'm not trying to convince you to like grading sucks. Don't do it. If you are transacting in a way where you might ever sell, as of today, it would be kind of crazy to not grade. Like, if you're selling cards that are raw and gem mint-ish, the PSA 10 rate on a lot of these cards, like this is a 50% PSA 10 rate card. That does not mean like 50% of all of them would 50% of what was sent would tend. But a lot of these cards are like 80% 10 rates, 70, 80, 90% 10 rates. And the multiple from raw to 10 is massive. So it's like, you'd be crazy to not grade. Like, that's why I grade. I don't like the companies particularly. I don't think they're very good at what they do, but I think they're good enough. And clearly, like, I am one person that is not an expert. The market, the prices are like the accumulation of or culmination is what I was looking for. The market price of any given card. The market price of this card being $700 above me. Why isn't this comment going away? For some reason I can't clear my comments. But anyways, yeah, it's still not working. The PSA 10 Great Felt hat that's being hidden by this comment. That card is $700 because that's what supply and demand equilibrium leveled out to. Like I am one person. I am saying, okay, it just went away now. It took forever. I am one person saying, I don't value that card at 700. But I'm one person, my opinion doesn't matter. The market might never agree with me. If tomorrow everyone woke up with my brain in their head, that would be a scary world. Hopefully that doesn't happen. In a lot of ways. But that would be a scary world because, like, grading would be dead immediately. Like, all the premiums would be gone. It would all be done and over with. The ride would be over. I'm glad the companies exist. But I don't have the same value. I don't agree. Let's see. Let me see if there's any other questions in chat. I'm gonna scroll up some. I know Retro wants to get spicy again. Retro wants the lights to go red. Appreciate you, Matt Friend, becoming a subscriber. My theory for the grading company in 20 years is a CAC equivalent that grades the graded cards. Yeah, that's already a thing. MBA, Mike Baker Authentication. They put the sticker on. They put the sticker on already graded cards. So CAC is in coins. It's taken hold. Like they get a high premium, and an MBA is a thing. How hard they're hitting, I don't really know. I don't value the PSA, the CGC, the BGS. I don't care about MBA. And I say it, I need to make sure I'm clear here. I care about them to the extent that I'm a wise businessman, but like I'm not saying, like I will pay 75% of that price. I will buy 50 of them tomorrow. I'll auction them all on Fanatics and I'll make 10-20%. Like I'm not stupid. I value them to some amount because the market does. But like take away the market factor in that. As a collector, I value them nothing. They do nothing for me. Some people say like protection, this, that, the other thing. Get a card saver, put it in a top loader binder, put it in a top loader and a top loader binder. I don't value the protection $8, $10, $17. Like, what are we talking about here? Get a one touch, get a penny sleeve, put it in a binder. I don't. Years ago, maybe I would have said that back when it was $4, $5, $6 grading with PSA. But like, I don't value the protection. I don't value the opinion. I don't value anything about it. I think CGC slabs look the best. I think tag slabs looks pretty good. But like, I think some of the slabs are kind of like an eyesore. I like the cards. I like the art. But I think slabs take away. They take you one level away, more plastic to look through. At least CGC's plastic is like really clear. I think tags is too. But grading like takes away from me as a collector. So but I'm not trying to convince anyone. As I said, I'm one person interacting in one way. Do what you see fit. Chan Free says, I bought a Mega Charizard PSA 9 a few months ago. I didn't realize, but the PSA case has a huge chip on the side. Do I sell it as is, or do I spend to get it reslabbed? The market will. So usually, the cost of reslabbing is usually less than the market will devalue your card if it's a higher end card. If you have a chip slab on a $20 card, take the L, sell it as is. That's what I would do. If I have a card that's hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars, I will get it recased and then I will sell it. That's what I always do. Does the new PSA grading standard work for BK Pokemon Gold toys? I have no idea. It's all clear. It's very obvious. It's very yeah. For clarity, they have cleared this all up for us. Dad, why are you yelling at the computer screen? Oh, I think PCG. That's Rudy's, right? They grade taco sauce packs. Like, yeah, I've never graded with So this is a comment. I see Retro asking for me to turn the lights red again. This is a topic that I think is interesting. Pokemon Center says, I never touch Japanese boxes because those guys over there, when they see money, they love resealing those boxes without nobody knowing. Resealed packs are like a hot button topic. The CGC, the PSA standards, all that stuff is big. Resealed packs are a hot topic. Any of the drama llamas out there, you probably heard about, you probably saw the whatnot people. I don't want to say the wrong name, so I'm not even gonna say it because I already forgot which one it was. But somebody resealed a pack. It was supposed to be a joke for somebody, but first they said they bought a resealed pack at a show, and then people matched the handwriting, and then it was like, oh, I did it for a buddy. It was supposed to be a joke, and then it's like, would you have written something on it, like a name and numbers? It was Guess the Energy Games. Like, I don't know. One thing, I'm going to try to prevent the lights going red. I'm going to try to talk about this topic with blue and orange lights. But we'll see. Let me get Ethan's question first before I go into this rant. Will you still be sending out 60/40 cards to PSA? Yes. They have graded time and time again. I only have one ready to show you. They graded this one recently. They graded a 71/29 card of PSA 10. Shout out to Peak That Shoe on Instagram. He was trying to get an OC MC designation, and he got a PSA 10 for Peak That Shoe. They have, like, I don't care what the billionaire CEO says. I don't care how clear they make it on their thing. I don't care what they say. Talk versus walk. I'm very big on talk versus walk. They are incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. They claim they don't grade 60/40s as 10s, but I promise you they do. I have personally graded 100 PSA 10 Celebrations Charizards with 60/40 centering. I have personally graded 1,000 cards in the past 10 years with 60, 40 or worse centering. I don't have, I can't back that up with like 1,000 scans to show you one after the other. But I promise you I've graded tons of them. I had so many people when I posted those stories send me anecdotes, this card, that card, peak that choose card was the best. So it took the crown, so I had to show it. But I've said it before, I'll say it again. PSA is the participation trophy. PSA 10 is the participation trophy grade. It is the easiest to get by far. And don't just believe me. Go to GemRate. Go to gemrate.com. PSA grades the easiest out of all of them. They have the laxest, they have the most lax conditions for getting a PSA 10, even though they theoretically changed them, but that's what they've been doing for years. Like give me a break. What are they doing? They're so dumb. Trying to find it on GemRate. But Raider pop data. It's something obscene. It's something like, let me see. Oh yeah, let me go to Pokemetrics. Pokemetrics is the one that I was thinking of, not GemRate. There's so many data websites out there, it's crazy. But Pokemetrics, let's go to stats. So PSA has graded 15.8 million Pokemon cards. And after grading 15.8 million 15.8 million Pokemon cards, PSA thought, like, you know what? We should change our grading standards. After grading this many collectibles and being this far in the lead, we should change our grading standards. You know what? Let's do that. How dumb is that? But 47% of Pokemon cards get a PSA 10. They are the easiest grader by far. Go to CGC, go to Beckett. I've done this before a million times in different videos. Let me go to Pokemetrics EX, a paid service I believe that I still pay for. Maybe it won't load for me. Maybe it will. Let me go to stats. So yeah, PSA grades, we're way long ago. Somehow we jumped way back. PSA grades 47% of Pokemon cards, PSA 10. And I don't care. Vintage, mid-era, I understand. They grade it harder, and there are some cards that get CGC 10s that used to be PSA 9s. But there's so much overlap between all these grades. There's cards that get PSA 10s that used to be PSA 9s. And then there's cards that got CGC 9s that get PSA 10s. All these companies have so much overlap. They have so little consistency. They have so little accuracy and precision that it's a joke. It's all a huge joke. But the punchline is we make a ton of money. So like, it's a good joke. I like the joke. CGC only grades 5.77% of cards pristine. CGC only grades 25% of cards gem, mint, and pristine. So like, look at the numbers. Look at the data. CGC, like, I send better cards to CGC and I get lower 10 rates. Wait until I do my recap on this. Wait until I show you I sent my worst cards to PSA and the 10 rates I got versus sending my best cards to Beckett and CGC and the rates that I got. And wait until I show you the Beckett cards that I crack out and then regrade as PSA 10s from BGS 9.5s and BGS 9s and CGC 9.5s and CGC 9s. It happens all the time. It's going to happen. The inconsistency is horrific. Going back to Nat, going back to his DM, it hasn't been for years. There's no change in the day-to-day. They just updated the language on the website. I'm going to continue to do what I've always done because theoretically, supposedly, PSA says they're continuing to do what they've always done. They're dumb, they're lying, they're wrong, they're incompetent. I don't know what to tell you, but like, how dumb is PSA to change their standard? There are people right here, Ethan and others, there are people considering sending less cards to PSA now because of what PSA said. How dumb is that? That is so dumb. But continuing on. Would you send 4 pristine Bubble Mew at once or split the order? I always send them all at once. I don't give in to any of these conspiracies. They're all so dumb to me. All these conspiracies are so dumb to me. Don't send this, don't send that, don't send too many. Like I set my grading size submissions based on my risk tolerance, based on my insurance, based on things like that. And appreciate you, Hasty Collects TCG, for subscribing. If you're here 2 hours and 10 minutes in and you enjoy this rant, if you are want to hear more what I have to say, feel free to like, subscribe. If you're subscribing for the first time, that fisherman will pop up on screen and do his thing. Appreciate you all for doing that. I don't subscribe to any of those conspiracy theories. I think they're all so stupid. I give very little appreciation to like the expertise of any of these grading card companies, but I guess I give you more. I give PSA and CGC and BGS more slack than people do who believe in these conspiracy theories. Like, it blows my, like, I know people who are PSA fanboys to no end, but they won't send WotC with vintage. It's like, or WotC with modern. It's like, you think they're so good at what they do, and then you can't trust them to like objectively grade two things too close to each other. You can't control what they see before. You can't control what they see after outside of your submission. So like, I don't think it's a big deal what's next to it inside the submission, but it's so wild to me. All these different tinfoil hat theories, and it's so wild. No, I just send them. I send my submissions. I put them all in. Sell shovels during the gold mine. PSA is killing it. You got to remember the graders are regular people who don't care enough to look closely at hundreds of cards because they get paid by the hour. They're looking at cards for seconds. I look at cards for seconds. Just like they do. They grade the easiest because they give you the perfect 10. They give you the everyone wants to be perfect. No one wants to be BGS 10 pristine gold when there's a BGS 10 black. No one wants to be Gem Mint 10, regular Gem Mint 10 when there's a pristine 10. People want to be the highest number. Half of people who send a Pokemon card to PSA get a perfect 10 of 10 grade. It's brilliant marketing. Brilliant marketing. Give everyone a trophy. People love that. I don't invest. I don't invest in things like that. I buy stuff at 70 to 85% of market, and I sell it for 90 to 110% of market. So yeah, if you ask me a crystal ball type question like that, if I buy it, I sell it. The closest thing I come to investing in Pokemon, I buy wholesale. I buy my allocation of sets as they come out. I buy for distributor pricing. I buy for 70 to 85%. If you want to sell to me, actually, shout out to my buy list. I might as well show that. I buy anything and everything, single slab sealed. I buy at 70 to 85% of market. I update my buy list on every Monday, but that is me buying low, selling high. That is me arbitraging. That is me retailing. I do not invest in Pokemon cards. The closest I come to investing in Pokemon cards is what I do with Ultra Modern Sealed. But like, I am buying packs all the time. I'm buying boxes all the time. Feel free to DM me. But if you want to know, will this card go up? Will that card go up? I don't do that stuff because I don't know. No one knows. People will drop affiliate links for you, but I don't play that game. A lot of people play that game. I don't do it. Let's see. People like their tinfoil hats because they make them feel more in control over a flawed subjective process. Yeah, I like to live in logical reason, reality. I don't like those things that are people believe a lot of things that are like demonstrably, provably false, provably wrong. Like PSA is not consistent enough. I don't believe in them having enough consistency for any of these tinfoil hat conspiracies to hold any water, because they just can't consistently work because the variance and consistency are so wide, so poor. Please sell to him. Me and PK are hungry. Me, PK, and Ponga are trying to do massive things on Fanatics Live this year, so please sell to me. Yes. Boom is over there and pack it up. Tag has not impressed me whatsoever. None of them have impressed me whatsoever. I'm not going to LA Collecticon. But see, Squirtle 1000, these cards next to me are PC. But when I say PC, these ones are not going anywhere. I am not selling these. Like, the only thing that would change it, if this card goes to $10,000, which I guess it's at 2,000, like, who knows? I might sell a gift in the future if things get that dumb, but like I don't think they will. I'm never selling these cards. The cards I care about most in the hobby. Well, one, my children both had binders. The cards in their binders I care about more than any of my slabs. The cards in my binder I care about more than any of my slabs. These are never getting graded because they're never getting sold. Like, you're saying the reason to grade PC cards is to be prepared for $1,000 jungle EV moment. No, because I'm not selling these. I have enough other inventory. But yeah, if you have cards in your PC that if they went to the right price, you'd sell them. Yes, like potentially think about grading them so that you can be ready to go if and when that happens. But like my true PC never sell. I'm not grading them. Yeah, 10K, something silly, I would sell it, but no one's gonna do that. Let me scroll back, see if there's any more questions. I might try to wrap up fairly soon. The kids didn't wake up, but they are moving a lot, and it is 1:16. They had a snow day today. I hope they don't have a snow day tomorrow. Let me double check the weather forecast. I saw a wind chill warning. I saw I hope we don't get a snow day because I'm supposed to have Poke Flips tomorrow. There's a winter weather advisory from 7 a.m. Friday to 10 a.m. Saturday, so all day. Oh no, we might have a snow day again. Snow from 2 to 6 inches. Oh no, we might have a snow day. If we have a snow day again tomorrow, I'm supposed to have Poke Flips tomorrow at noon. I might be able to finagle a Poke Flips with my kids at home, but that would be hard. I did a consult this morning with my kids at home, but we'll see what happens with that. I'm probably going to wrap up relatively soon, though. I thought we might we had enough red lights tonight. We don't need more. I wanted to talk a little bit about, like, I talked about morality earlier. I talked about drawing lines in the sand. I talked about openness, honesty, transparency. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. There are things going on in the hobby now. And I think, like, if someone does bad things, don't threaten violence. Don't take things that far. But I just wanted to comment on the broader, like, it is good to call out people when they do bad. It is good to take bad people out of the hobby entirely. Like, if you reseal packs intentionally, if you scam people, not that you could reseal packs unintentionally, but if you reseal packs, if you intentionally are scamming, lying, cheating, stealing, you need to be out of the hobby. You need to be gone. But some of the things that I see, just going back to earlier, people get so tribal over their grading card companies. People literally give death threats to other people who don't like their XYZ grading card company. People are giving death threats over, like, resealed Pokemon cards. That's bad. That's illegal. You're stealing. You're breaking the law. Bad. Go away. Get out of here. Hopefully go to jail. You probably won't go to jail. I want all that too. But, like, pump the brakes on the, like, threatening to kill people. Pump the brakes on, like, doxing people, trying to get people going to people's houses, and, like, trying to get people to go to people's booths and, like, injure people. Like, all that stuff is taken too far. Some of that stuff that's happened in the past week. And one thing, as a business who is going to be selling 150,000 packs this year, maybe more. PK's full-time now. Ponga's doing a couple nights a week. PK's doing several nights a week. PK's doing several days a week. There's a chance someday, it was talked about earlier, buying Japanese product. When I buy from Retrospecs, I don't worry. But I have bought from people highly reputable. Japanese is tough. Like, I've bought resealed 151 boxes. I've bought resealed other Japanese boxes. When I get most of my English product, I buy from distributors. Distributors, like, I can't say the chance is zero, because, like, I've had a conversation with a distributor before. And maybe they were lying to me. Honestly, I lean towards them lying to me. But they said, hey, we got a restock on Evolutions. This is way back in 2021. I think it was held back product. I think distributors have been retailing product for years. I think at times that they thought it was advantageous to them, they invest, they hold back product. But they told me, years ago, my distributor told me, hey, we've got 4 cases of Evolutions that we can offer to you. It wasn't a reprint. It wasn't a restock. It was something they found. It was some. They told me, though, before they bought out a store. That scared me. Years ago, it scared me a little bit. It didn't scare me as much as it does today. But distributors, to some extent, I think they buy from other distributors. If a distributor goes out of business, if an LGS goes out of business, supposedly there's times that distributors are buying English product back. And every LGS in the country, to say that a product at some point couldn't be tampered with at the distribution level, I wouldn't bet my life on it. But like that's the highest level product that exists. The highest level product that exists is from distribution. The next highest product I would say is like retail. Costco, Walmart. Issue with Walmart is like, did somebody do something in the aisle? Did they buy it on the website and then it got returned and then Walmart just shipped it back out? I've read about those. I heard about those things. But what I'm getting at here is like one thing that scares me. This whole pitchfork torch. The second that something goes wrong, and what that individual did, that individual this week that resealed packs on Whatnot, he lied. He immediately lied. He lied twice. Lied multiple times. I had a conversation with Ponga and PK, and I said, if or when we ever open a Japanese box, and whether it came from Retro, whether it came from whoever, if we have the misfortune of opening something on stream, I do my best, and I will always do my best. PK, Ponga, always do their best. Can I say that I guarantee 100%, I bet my life that the next million packs, I might sell 1 million packs ripped and shipped on stream in the next 5 years. Can I guarantee 100% that none of those will ever be resealed? No. This is me being open, honest, transparent, raw Dan. Like, it's kind of a scary thing how quickly everyone grabs the pitchforks, grab the torches, let's dox them, let's hang them, let's drag them, let's and you got 25 videos and you got IG call out stories, and in this instance, the guy did it. He didn't address it immediately on stream. He continued to rip packs. He lied. He came out with another story. We don't know if the second story is true. We don't know if that's a lie too. He did everything entirely wrong. If or when it were to ever happen, I hope it never does, but take it to the extreme. Say me, Pong, and PK do this for 50 years. Say the hobby grows further. If we rip 150,000 packs this year, and then for the next 50 years we grow and we rip more and more and more, 10 million packs. I don't get allocated that much from my distributor. I buy some from you guys. I have a buy list on my website. I buy from people who buy from Costco. I made a short recently, and people on Instagram were really mad at me. I do my best to vet everything to the fullest extent that I can. But can I guarantee that we will never accidentally have something slip through? I can't. I will do my, and I fear a little bit. I fear a little bit the mob mentality that comes out. The like not giving, and I'm not like, I'm not coming to this guy's defense, but this guy lied, maybe lied more than once. Like, I'm not doing it over this guy. But Rusty opened a box before that ended up being resealed. Rusty's been fooled. PokeRev has been fooled. Can I definitively say that I will never be fooled to the tune of millions of packs? No. And if and when it happens, I've had the conversation with Ponga and PK. We do everything we do to prevent it. If and when it happens, we will do a full investigation. I will try to find where it came from. It likely won't have been, like, I buy from a lot of very honorable, reputable people. It likely won't be any of that. I'll work down the chain. I'll know who I bought from over the past week, over the past month. I'll know how many packs we sold of this set, that set. If we open a dud, whatever pack. And one thing that's scary too, and like, I'm just being real here. I'm being open, honest, transparent. It's scary. Talking about all this variance, talking about all the inconsistency with grading card companies. Pokemon printed 12 billion Pokemon cards last year. Pokemon probably printed 12 billion Pokemon cards this year. I have wholesale distribution. The amount of times that I've opened a case from wholesale and the shrink wrap on a box is super loosey-goosey and ridiculously terrible. The amount of times that I've opened a pack and a card's been upside down. The amount of times that I've opened a pack and there's a card missing. Or I actually have in my collection somewhere. I don't have it handy, otherwise I'd show it. I have, I believe, an XY Evolutions pack, and I believe I have a Hidden Fates pack that are thick. they have like double the amount of commons in them or something. They weigh like 30 grams. They have like 5 extra cards in them. Errors happen and inconsistency happens. So like when you're buying loose packs, the scary thing is the amount of variance in a genuine product that comes from distribution. The amount of times that you buy a pack, I only have Japanese in front of me. The amount of times that the corners open a little bit, or this or that, the other thing. The seal doesn't look amazing. The amount of times I've sold a legitimate box from distribution on my eBay, and then the person calls me a scammer, saying that they got no hits, saying that the packs were half opened. It's like, that came straight from Mad Al. That came straight from GTS. A lot of times it's just people not knowing what's going on. And I'm going to do a video in the future on the math. Like, when you open 150,000 packs in a year, when you open them from loose packs, not getting the 12 hits per box, not getting the quasi randomness that a box provides or an ETB provides, when you get true randomness of 36 loose packs, whoever the most unlucky individual is who buys packs from us in 2025, there will be someone that gets like 3 hits out of 36 packs. Mathematically, it will happen. Someone will be that unlucky. Ponga PK, they will probably throw in some extra packs. Like, at some point, accusations could come. At some point, a resealed product could be opened. It's like, I kind of fear that thing that almost feels inevitable on a long enough timeline. And I trust in Ponga and PK to handle it properly. I trust in myself to come out, be logical, be reasonable, be transparent, and I hope that the hate mob, the drama llama, I hope that the cancel culture, all that stuff won't like just be crazy full force. And hopefully this doesn't like turn on, oh, Dan's preempting him getting caught scamming. Like, no, none of that is happening. I've been here 10 years. I've built this big thing. PK just quit his job to go full time. I am not in need of scamming a $50 card, $1,000 card. Like, that stuff doesn't mean anything to me. Look at my history. Look at I'm not perfect. I'm not the most moral being. I'm not the but like, I am not a liar, cheater, stealer. I'm not a thief. I never will do any of that. Hopefully that goes without saying to anyone that buys from me, anyone that sells to me. The amount of consignments I've done, the amount of 6-figure cards, 6-figure, 5-figure collections that I've had people send to me up front on trust, and then I pay them. Like, I promise you, I never will. PK Ponga never will scam, scheme, anything. And I just hope, if and when anything were to happen, that like brains will be turned on, because the amount of times that people just immediately, and it's one thing, like I'm on your side. I'm on all the call out channel sides. Like, please take bad actors out of the hobby. I'm with you. But sometimes, and I'm not even talking about just the creators. Some of the creators, maybe at times, they're not just like doing what they feel to be their civic duty towards the hobby, like rooting out the bad people. Almost sometimes it feels like they're reveling in it. Like, they're getting pleasure from it. They're getting pleasure from like, haha, I'm ending this person. Sometimes it almost feels like, I said earlier in the thing, and that was setting the stage for this. Sometimes it feels like people are trying to play judge, jury, and executioner. Sometimes it feels like people are trying to play God. I am not any of that. I don't want to be any of that. If and when anything ever happens, I will make everything right. I will investigate. I will do everything to the fullest extent that I can. I just, I ask for people to be like sane and calm and logical and rational. I just, people, how they get at times, how the mob can get, it kind of scares me a little bit, to be honest. It scares me a little bit. But it is what it is. I know the risks of being the business that I'm in, and that's just one of them. That's just one of them that I have to know what I'm up against, and I have to do my best to not let anything get through. But as with anything, things will get through. As with I'm not an expert. I appreciate you poking fun, but I'm not an expert. I've got the wrong tab open here. But like, even our experts make mistakes. Things get through, and hopefully people will just use a calm, cool, collected, rational, logical mind. That is the other red light topic that I wanted to talk about. And actually talking about the base set box break. A lot of trust is required for that. I bought from a source that I bought over 10 boxes from, and early on in that box, I had in the back of my mind like, oh crap, if we don't pull a Charizard, are people gonna think Dan CT scanned that box? If we didn't pull a Charizard, if we didn't pull a Blastoise, 8 packs into that box, we hadn't pulled any starter. 8 packs into that box, our best pull was like, what was our best pull? Our best pull was like a Zapdos or a Mewtwo or something. I don't even remember. Or an Alakazam. Some part of me feared, like, we pull an absolute dud base set box. I know I didn't CT scan it. I did the best to source from somebody who I'm as confident as I can be that it was not CT scanned. But can I bet my life on it? Can I give a 100% guarantee? I'll never be able to. I'll never be able to. I do the best I can, and eventually, the 11th holo pack, we pulled the Charizard. So like, all things forgiven then, it's like, okay, the box is probably good and whatever, but I just fear, like, you do a couple box breaks in a row. Hey, Dan did a jungle box, there was no Snorlax, there was no Vaporeon. Dan did a Foxel box, there was no Gengar, there was no Dragonite. Those things can happen statistically. And if and when allegations are made, I already have a couple people in my Instagram comments, I already have a couple people in my YouTube comments running their mouths, saying a bunch of stuff about buying search packs, selling search. That is not happening. That will never happen. If I have anything to say about it, can I promise though that like a couple things won't get through? I can't entirely guarantee that. Long enough timeline, over a 50-year timeline, it becomes a certainty at some point. But yeah, I will do my best. I wanted to broach that topic. Hopefully I never need to come back to this. Hopefully I never need to talk about it again. Hopefully I never need to go live with Rattle or Opossum or whoever defending and talking through my side. But like, if and when it's necessary, I will not give any statement that I change. I will give the true honest word. PK Ponga will give the true honest word if or when it happens. And yeah, I just, one big thing I have going for me is that I buy the cards from people that trust me and send to me first. And again, distribution is like the ultimate level. If I could buy everything from distribution, I would. It's not there. They're sold out. We're going to sell 2,000 packs this week. My distributor doesn't have 2,000 packs to sell me. So like, I start there. I've people doing geographical arbitrage. I have people sourcing from the Netherlands, sourcing from their distributors, selling to me. I have people buying out Costco, buying out Walmart, buying out Pokemon Center. And like, those are all my best ones. It's rare, it's less common. And when I buy from someone that I've never heard their name, I scrutinize them more. I open a couple packs. I vet things to the extent that I can, but I think that's enough. I think I've gone on long enough. 2.5 hours. I'm going to call it very soon. I'm going to look at chat a little bit and see what people are saying, but I think most people have fallen asleep by now. We are down about 100 people watching. We peaked in the high hundreds, so we are winding down. Let's see. Yes, it is very weird. Like I am on your side as like, call out the bad people. Bad apples will spoil the bunch. We don't want the whole hobby being tainted, being spoiled. Kick out the bad people. But like, if you're getting pleasure, if you're reveling in it too much, and sometimes it's like people are just so confident that like this, and to the other side too. I forget what the username is, so I'm not going to say it. But in this past week, that what not one with the guy with the resealed energies, there were people, he lied. He came back and he fixed his lie. And there were people defending his first statement. His first statement was an outright lie that he admitted to later. So like, as always, there's people on both sides extreme. Some people don't question enough. And then some people are just way too happy to be a part of the angry mob and like want to just cancel, destroy, end people's livelihoods over this stuff. So it's like, patience, breathe, logic, reason, give people time, give CGC time to figure this stuff out. That's all I can ask for, but like, I know that won't be the case if or when it happens. But I did not do any RuneScape during this stream. I need to be better about AFKing some U's or whatever, magic logs. But yeah, with that, 7 minutes ago we had Zard looking going to bed. I need to go to bed soon too. I promise you. I promise you. I'm a man of my word. honest, open, transparent. I'm ending quite soon. This is not gonna go for another hour. But let's I've been live for 2 hours and 35 minutes. I'm glad to hear that, Sebastian. I'm very glad to hear. Sebastian had his first Whatnot live stream tonight, and it went amazingly. So very glad to hear that. Thank you for stopping in. I am, yeah, like the amount of times that Amazon has resold stuff that was like bought, returned, resealed, and it's like I don't really do the buying from the Amazon and the Pokemon Center and the Walmart, like, but I buy from people that buy from Amazon. I buy from people that buy from Walmart. I buy from people that buy from Costco. I do buy a little bit all over the place, but yeah, I don't know. I hope my kids go to school tomorrow. I love my kids. I had a great day playing Go Fish with them. I made bracelets with my daughter for my wife who's out of town. We made last night. We made churros. We made churros together. That was fun. They came out horribly looking. Expectation versus reality. They look nothing like the box, but it was a fun. But I do hope my kids go to school tomorrow. I've not gotten much work done this week. I do have Pokeflips tomorrow too. I hope to see some of you tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern on Pokeflips. I will be there with Nick. We're due to have a special guest, but like I've been busy. We've been shifting the hours. We haven't had a guest in a few episodes. We will return to having guests in the future, but I very much appreciate everyone hanging out. Oh, thank you, Alexandria L, for subscribing. You got that in at the very end. As always, I appreciate you all watching. I do my best. I hope everyone will try to do their best. Cool, collected, logic, reason. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. Call out people who do those things, but like do it as part of all of our collective duty to get those people out. But like, don't take joy in it. Don't take joy bringing people down. That negativity, it just gets weird at some point. But yeah, thank you everyone. I will catch you all later.